Chapter 1549. Only then did Chen Jie realize that there was something wrong with his son. At first, he didn't expect that his son already had a sweetheart. Instead, he wondered if his son had some mental illness. Thinking of this, Chen Jie became more and more worried. After hiring a few psychiatrists for Chen Xiaolong couldn't resist his father's annoyance and told the truth. Only then did Chen Jie know that his son liked his former high school classmate, and this high school classmate was Chen Fei's daughter, Chen Mengyan. After so long, his son was still worried about this girl. Chen Jie felt deeply helpless. After all, his son's infatuation was inherited from him. Didn't he also miss his ex-wife for so many years? Although his ex-wife betrayed him, Chen Jie knew that as long as his ex-wife returned to his side, he would definitely forgive her for what she had done. Therefore, the main purpose of his return this time was actually for his son's marriage. What he didn't expect was that his son would be at a disadvantage as soon as he met the girl of his dreams. Chen Jie planned to explore Yang Ming's background first, and then weigh whether his son could snatch her away. His thoughts were similar to Qin Jifu's. Since Yang Ming was Qin Fei's son-in-law, his family background must be extraordinary. Otherwise, Qin Fei would not give his daughter to him so easily. However, there were many kinds of extraordinary. As long as Chen Jie wanted to see the gap between his family and his own family, Chen Jie really had no other way if they were evenly matched. Yes, he is our high school classmate, just like Chen Mengyan. After Chen Xiaolong replied, he suddenly saw the hint in his father's eyes. He slightly mouthed the words background to him. Chen Xiaolong immediately understood and said, he is Yang Ming. Yang Dehai's son. Yang Dehai. Chen Jie frowned after hearing this name. He didn't have any impression. Could this person be a famous person in Songjiang City? Seeing Chen Jie frowning, Chen Xiaolong knew that his father probably couldn't remember who this person was, so he quickly reminded, Dad, you forgot. When you were at the Songjiang bus factory, Yang Dehai in your workshop was Yang Dehai's son. Oh. That Yang Dehai. Chen Jie glanced at Yang Ming incredulously and muttered, Songjiang bus factory. Is Yang Dehai the factory director? The Songjiang bus factory was closed long ago. It is bankrupt. Chen Jifu was reminded in Chen Jie's son's son. Chen Jifu and Chen Jie had both worked in the Songjiang bus factory in their early years, so when Chen Jifu heard Chen Xiaolong's reminder, he immediately thought of Yang Dehai. He knew that the Songjiang bus factory had completely closed down half a year ago. He heard that it was bought by a company. Many of the workers there had been laid off. Uncle Chen Jie. Yang Ming glanced at Chen Jie and called him uncle coldly. However, it was also because of Chen Fei's face. How could he not know what Chen Jie was thinking? It was nothing more than hearing that his father used to be a worker in the Songjiang bus factory. He was very surprised and did not think highly of his relationship with Chen Mengyan. Although Yang Ming's efforts had made tremendous changes in the Yang family, when Chen Mengyan and Yang Ming were together, Yang Ming was just an ordinary teenager. Yang Ming's father was not the current chairman. Therefore, Yang Ming looked coldly at the malicious speculations of Chen Jifu and Chen Jie, but he did not say much. Since you are all classmates, then let's get closer to each other. Chen Jie glanced at Chen Xiaolong, hinting that he should seize the opportunity. In this situation, Chen Jie naturally could not say anything because Chen Fei was present. However, once there was a chance, he would talk to Yang Ming personally. He did not believe that Yang Ming would not leave Chen Mengyan if the price was high enough. Chen Mengyan, Yang Ming, let's go. Let's go together. Chen Xiaolong walked over with a smile as if he had forgotten the previous grievances. However, when he walked to Yang Ming's side, a trace of unkindness flashed in his eyes. Yang Ming ignored him and went into the elevator with the crowd. Chen Xiaolong's eyes were fixed on Chen Mengyan. His eyes were flickering, and no one knew what he was thinking. Mengyan, how have you been all these years? Chen Xiaolong glanced at Yang Ming and whispered to Chen Mengyan when he was not paying attention. Yang Ming heard Chen Xiaolong's words, and a sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth. Although Yang Ming's gaze was not locked on Chen Mengyan or Chen Xiaolong, Yang Ming could easily monitor Chen Xiaolong's every move because of his special abilities. Chen Xiaolong's whispered words were also seen by Yang Ming. Yang Ming naturally knew the meaning of Chen Xiaolong's words. He was testing how Chen Mengyan had been all these years. If Chen Mengyan showed a trace of hesitation or bitterness, Chen Xiaolong could use it as an excuse to seduce Chen Mengyan with some good life. Very good. Chen Mengyan replied to Chen Xiaolong directly without thinking. It made Chen Xiaolong unable to say what he wanted to say next. I see. Chen Xiaolong laughed twice and said, how did you and Yang Ming get together? I remember that the relationship between you two didn't seem to be very good. Chen Mengyan frowned and didn't want to answer this question, but Chen Xiaolong put his face in front of her in annoyance. If she didn't answer, he wouldn't leave. Chen Mengyan had to say, we were admitted to the same university. Naturally, we got together. Oh. Is that really the case? Chen Xiaolong didn't seem to believe Chen Mengyan's words. In his opinion, Chen Mengyan couldn't like Yang Ming. Yang Ming must have used some means, so he asked unwillingly, Chen Mengyan, is there any secret in this? I know Yang Ming. He is not a good person. If you have any difficulties, just tell me. Now my identity is not what it used to be. Even if Yang Ming is capable, he can't do anything to me. After listening to Chen Xiaolong's words, Chen Mengyan suddenly frowned and moved back with some disgust. She didn't want to answer Chen Xiaolong's question at all. She knew that as long as she opened her mouth, Chen Xiaolong might say something else to stop her. However, if she didn't speak, Chen Xiaolong wouldn't give up. Chen Mengyan regretted coming to this banquet. When Chen Mengyan was in a dilemma, Yang Ming turned his head coldly and said to Chen Xiaolong, are you done? Ah. Chen Xiaolong didn't expect Yang Ming to suddenly speak. Although he was asking Chen Mengyan before, his attention was always on Yang Ming. When he saw that Yang Ming didn't notice him, he dared to say these words to Chen Mengyan. Chen Xiaolong, do you think that you are better than before because you have a good father? Yang Ming looked at Chen Xiaolong sarcastically. In fact, to tell you the truth, whether it's your uncle or your father, I really don't put them in my eyes. Chen Xiaolong was angered by Yang Ming's words. He glared at Yang Ming fiercely. Yang Ming, you wait for me. I'll show you later. Wait? Okay. Yang Ming shrugged and said, but Chen Xiaolong, don't blame me for not reminding you. 3 years ago, I could beat you until you were looking for your teeth on the ground. I can still do it now, even if you have 2 bodyguards by your side. Chapter 1550. Chen Xiaolong didn't care about Yang Ming's words. He just snorted coldly and turned his face away. He felt that Yang Ming was a bit unreasonable, and even a little arrogant. Indeed, if it were 4 years ago when he was still in high school, he would definitely be very afraid of Yang Ming. School life and now were 2 different things. In school, whoever had a harder fist was more powerful. But in society, who had a harder fist? He just had to throw out some money casually, and there would be people who would help him. The elevator stopped on the 6th floor with a ding. Yang Ming and Chen Mengyan followed behind the crowd and walked out of the elevator. Chen Mengyan held Yang Ming's hand tightly. It was obvious that Chen Mengyan was very nervous. Yang Ming smiled comfortingly, it's nothing. I won't act rashly. At least, I won't make things difficult for Uncle Qin. Yang Ming knew that Qin Mengyan was not worried that Yang Ming would do something unexpected, but that Yang Ming would do something impulsive in anger. At that time, Qin Fei would also be there, and it would be difficult to clean up the mess. Qin Mengyan was relieved when she saw that Yang Ming understood her meaning. The entire 6th floor was a banquet hall. At this time, many people had already arrived. They were sitting in the banquet hall seats, chatting in groups of 3 to 5. When the elevator door opened, everyone looked at the elevator at the same time. When they saw Chen Jifu coming out from inside, they immediately stopped talking and stood up one after another. These people were all from the Qin family village or people who were still in the village. There were people from all walks of life, but their achievements were not as high as Chen Jifu's, let alone Chen Jiye's. Among them, some people recognized that the man next to Chen Jifu was Chen Jiye, and they all showed envious eyes. Chen Jifu walked out of the elevator and made a greeting gesture to everyone present. He then introduced, "This is my younger brother, Chen Jiye, the chairman of the Southern Jinyuan Import and Export Trading Company." Among the people present, most of them came here to flatter Chen Jifu and Chen Jiye. They wanted to find some benefits from the two of them, so these people immediately clapped and cheered after hearing Chen Jifu's introduction. Chen Jifu was very satisfied with the current scene and atmosphere. He smiled and nodded to everyone, and continued to introduce, "This is my nephew, Chen Xiaolong." Applause rang out again, accompanied by the praises of some people. They praised Chen Xiaolong for his striking appearance, young and promising, and so on. In short, there were all kinds of words, which satisfied Chen Xiaolong's self-esteem like never before. Chen Xiaolong glanced at Qin Mengyan proudly. He wanted to let Qin Mengyan see how glorious he was now. As long as she followed him, half of this glory would belong to her. However, Qin Mengyan was indifferent, as if she didn't hear the praise in front of her at all. She was expressionless. Chen Xiaolong was a little depressed in his heart, so he looked at Yang Ming to demonstrate the gap between him and him. However, it was even more regrettable that Yang Ming's expression did not show any shame or envy. Instead, there was a mocking look on his face, which made the resentment in Chen Xiaolong's heart increase by another level. This Yang Ming doesn't know what's good for him. I have clearly shown that I am 100 times more capable than him, but he is still indifferent. Does this person really not know what's good for him, or is he arrogant to a certain extent? Chen Xiaolong snorted helplessly and turned his head. At this time, Chen Jifu said, "Next, let's welcome our Qin family village's old patriarch, 7th grandfather Qin." As soon as Chen Jifu's voice fell, the praise for Chen Xiaolong and Chen Jiye in the dining hall immediately subsided. It could be seen that 7th grandfather Qin had a high status in the hearts of the Qin family village. A side door in the dining hall slowly opened. A man of about 60 years old slowly walked out from inside while supporting an old man of about 80 years old. This man of about 60 years old was Qin Jifu's father, Qin Dai. He was also the current village chief of the Qin family village. The old man of about 80 years old beside him was the old patriarch, 7th grandfather Qin. 7th grandfather. 7th uncle. 7th great-grandfather. The people of the Qin family village opened their mouths and greeted him respectfully. There were all kinds of names, but these three were the most common. The others were nothing more than close relatives, such as uncle, grandfather, and so on. 7th grandfather. Chen Jifu and Chen Fei immediately stepped forward. Even Chen Jiye carefully went over to greet him. It was imaginable how high 7th grandfather's status was. 7th grandfather nodded slightly in the midst of everyone's greetings. It could be seen that the old man was very hale and hearty. Although he was in his 80s, he was still very healthy. The old man saw Chen Jiye and nodded to him. "Jiye is back. Good, you have returned home in glory." You did not disgrace our Qin family village. This is all thanks to 7th grandfather's good education when I was young. Chen Jie said quickly and respectfully. Although he was a billionaire, 7th grandfather Qin was a supreme existence in the hearts of all the Qin family village people. In the old society, the patriarch of a big family was a godlike existence. His words were not to be disobeyed. Even if you were a high-ranking official in the imperial court, or even if you were extremely wealthy, when you returned to your hometown, you still had to show the etiquette of a junior to the elders of your clan. Otherwise, you would be considered unfilial and unethical. Although it was a new era now, this tradition was still maintained in many big families. The Qin family village was no exception. Although Chen Jie was very influential outside, he was still respectful when he saw 7th grandfather Qin after returning. 7th grandfather Qin nodded, and his gaze fell on Qin Fei again. There were only a few outstanding people in the Qin family village, so 7th grandfather Qin naturally remembered them in his heart. When he chatted with others, he had something to talk about that he was proud of. Little Feezy, you're here too. I heard that you have already become the bureau chief. You are the highest official in our Qin family village now. You and Jie are the leaders of the younger generation in our Qin family village, one in politics and one in business. 7th grandfather, you flatter us. Qin Fei quickly said modestly, how can we be considered the younger generation? Our child is already 20 years old. That's true. 7th grandfather Qin stroked his beard, then turned to look at Qin Xiaolong. Xiaolong, do you still recognize 7th great-grandfather? 7th great-grandfather. Qin Xiaolong said humbly, how can Xiaolong not recognize you? When I was young, you carried me to the river to play. At that time, I was still insensible and pulled your beard. Qin Xiaolong had already known from his father that the key to the success or failure of the matter between him and Qin Mengyan was 7th grandfather's attitude. If 7th grandfather facilitated this matter, then with 7th grandfather's status in the Qin family village, his words carried weight. Even if Qin Fei was unwilling, he had to consider it. Therefore, Qin Xiaolong decided to flatter 7th grandfather Qin. He. When 7th grandfather Qin heard Qin Xiaolong talk about his childhood, 7th grandfather Qin couldn't help but be happy. He also thought of the past and touched Qin Xiaolong's head lovingly, and, in the blink of an eye, the little brat behind 7th great-grandfather is going to marry a wife. 7th great-grandfather. Qin Xiaolong deliberately pretended to be young. Right, I heard that you have taken a fancy to little Fei's daughter. 7th grandfather Qin suddenly asked kindly. 7th great-grandfather, I. Qin Xiaolong pretended to blush, but in the end, he nodded. Ha, good, 7th great-grandfather will help you with this matter. 7th grandfather Qin narrowed his eyes and said confidently, when it comes to matchmaking, 80% of the young people in the Qin family village were match-made by me. Even the marriage between Xiao Feizi and Xiao Yu was decided by me. Isn't that right, Xiao Feizi? When Qin Fei heard 7th grandfather Qin talking about Qin Xiaolong and Qin Mengyan, his face froze. Just as he was about to say something, he didn't expect 7th grandfather Qin to suddenly mention his marriage with Qin Fangyu. He quickly nodded and said with a bitter smile, yes, thank you for matchmaking me. 7th grandfather Qin nodded with satisfaction and looked at Qin Mengyan beside Qin Fei. This is little Mengyan, right? Not bad, you have become so beautiful. You look just like your mother back then. No wonder our Xiaolong would like you. This 7th grandfather Qin was Qin Dai's 7th uncle. He was also Qin Xiaolong's 7th great-grandfather, so he was particularly concerned about Qin Xiaolong's matters. When he heard that Qin Xiaolong liked Qin Mengyan, he decided to decide on their marriage. One must know that the Chin family village had a rule that the young men and women in the village should try to find a partner in the village as much as possible and not go to other villages. So when he heard that Chen Xiaolong was looking for Chen Fei's daughter, Chen Mengyan, seventh grandfather Chen took on the responsibility without thinking. This made Chen Jia and Chen Jifu very happy. With seventh grandfather Chen's appearance, they were not afraid that Chen Fei would say anything. Chapter 1551. Seventh great-grandfather, Chen Mingyan's face changed immediately. She did not expect to encounter such an awkward situation. Chen Mengyan did not have much contact with seventh grandfather Chen when she was young, so she was not afraid of him. However, when she saw her parents' cautious look, she suddenly felt a chill in her heart. She had a bad feeling. Okay. Today, I announced to the entire Chen family village that my great-grandnephew, Chen Xiaolong, and Chen Mengyan from Xiao Fizi's family are officially engaged. Seventh grandfather Chen had not presided over a young person's marriage for a long time. If it were not for Chen Xiaolong today, he would not be like this. At most, he would send Chen Dai to announce the congratulations. But today, Chen Xiaolong was his grandnephew. He felt that only by announcing it personally, he could give his grandnephew face in front of the entire Chen family village. Good. The people of the Chen family village cheered. Congratulations and blessings were heard one after another. Chen Xiaolong was particularly proud at this moment. He only felt that this was the best moment in his life. He glanced at Yang Ming contemptuously, then glanced at Chen Mengyan proudly. He thought, so what if you are my boyfriend? Chen Mengyan must listen to seventh grandfather Chen as long as she is a member of the Chen family village. This is the family rule. Chen Fei's face became quite ugly. He did not expect seventh grandfather Chen to suddenly do such a thing. However, due to the relationship between him and seventh grandfather Chen when they were young, Chen Fei could not refute, so the atmosphere was in a deadlock. Seventh great-grandfather, I have a boyfriend. I can't accept this engagement. Chen Mengyan also guessed her parents' difficulties. At this time, she could only refuse. Originally, everyone in the Chen family village was congratulating Chen Jia and Chen Xiaolong. Chen Mingyan's sudden words suddenly made the scene cold and silent. The smile on seventh grandfather Chen's face froze instantly. He did not expect Chen Mengyan to have a boyfriend. Yes, he had never thought about this matter. If he knew in advance, he would not be so reckless. However, he didn't know. Since he had already said it, he couldn't change it. This was because he was seventh grandfather Chen, the patriarch of the Chen family village. He was a man of his word. Even the current village chief, Chen Dai, had to listen to him and could not go against his will. Therefore, in the Chen family village, the custom of seventh grandfather Chen's words having enormous weight had been developed. Seventh grandfather Chen's words were the imperial edict. No one could disobey or resist. Even if what he said was wrong, others had to carry it out. Although Chen Mingyan's refusal was reasonable, seventh grandfather Chen would not allow this to happen. He would not allow a junior to defy his orders. Seventh grandfather Chen's face darkened and became somewhat ferocious. For so many years, no one dared to refute him like this, especially in front of so many people. These were the villagers of the entire Chen family village. If he took back his previous words, how could he continue to stay in the Chen family village? What boyfriend? You are from the Chen family village. How can you look for outsiders? Seventh grandfather Chen snorted coldly and said unquestionably, okay, I'll make the decision on this matter. You will marry Chen Xiaolong. Set a date and hold the engagement ceremony first. After listening to seventh grandfather Chen's words, Chen Xiaolong's face suddenly showed a satisfied smile. Previously, he was afraid that 7th grandfather Qin was not tough enough and would give up after hearing that Qin Mengyan had a boyfriend. However, he did not expect 7th grandfather Qin to be more overbearing than he imagined. At this moment, Qin Fei finally understood that he had been fooled. He should not have come tonight. He was not stupid. When he connected it to Qin Jifu's attitude towards Qin Mengyan, he also understood that tonight's banquet was a trap. It was a trap for his family. The goal was Qin Mengyan. Qin Jia's son, Qin Xiaolong, had taken a fancy to Qin Mengyan for some unknown reason. He even invited 7th grandfather to be the matchmaker. This made Qin Fei angry but helpless at the same time. No matter how overboard 7th grandfather Qin was, he was still their elder. He had no way to refute and was embarrassed to object. Qin Fangyu and Qin Fei also had the same idea. They glanced at Qin Jifu with some hatred. They regretted answering this call. They only hoped that tonight's matter would be over quickly. Then, they could explain to 7th grandfather Qin afterward. However, now it seemed that 7th grandfather Qin was not going to let it go. He had to set a date today. 7th grandfather, there's no time like the present. I think, how about tonight? Qin Jifu narrowed his eyes and suggested to 7th grandfather Qin, this way, the people of the Qin family village are also here. They can be witnesses. What do you think? Okay, let's do it tonight. 7th grandfather Qin also wanted to cut the Gordian knot. Things had already come to this. He had to solve it as soon as possible to protect his prestige from being damaged. Otherwise, who knew what would happen after tonight? At that time, even if the people of the Qin family village did not say anything in front of him, they would definitely talk behind his back. When he thought of this, 7th grandfather Qin was even more determined to facilitate this marriage. 7th grandfather Qin said that we will hold an engagement ceremony for Qin Xiaolong and Qin Mengyan tonight. Does anyone have any objections? Qin Jifu looked at the people of the Qin family village. Although everyone saw some clues, 7th grandfather Qin had always been a man of his word in the Qin family village. Since 7th grandfather Qin had said so, who would object? Therefore, they all agreed and echoed in agreement. I say, old man, are you okay? Yang Ming stood at the side and couldn't bear it anymore. He looked down on 7th grandfather Chen's way of doing things based on his seniority. Yang Ming also saw 7th grandfather Chen's shock when he first knew that Qin Mengyan had a boyfriend. He understood that this 7th grandfather Qin was probably used by the Qin brothers as a tool. He even had some sympathy for this old man. However, after 7th grandfather Qin knew that Qin Mengyan had a boyfriend, not only did he not take back his previous words, but he also insisted on marrying Qin Mengyan to Qin Xiaolong. This made Yang Ming's impression of 7th grandfather Qin plummet instantly. Yang Ming was originally a person who respected the old and loved the young. Otherwise, he would not have helped the old man who sold the street stall and obtained this magical pair of glasses. After that, in the detention center, it was also because he sympathized with Fang Tian that he helped him teach those little punks a lesson. However, this 7th grandfather Qin in front of him was not worthy of Yang Ming's respect and sympathy. He actually forced Qin Mengyan to marry Qin Xiaolong for his own selfishness. This practice had already crossed Yang Ming's bottom line. Even if he was an old man in his 80s, Yang Ming would not give him the slightest bit of face. In order to protect his own dignity, he did such a bad thing. Not only was he immoral, but he was simply brainless. Therefore, Yang Ming suspected that this 7th grandfather Qin was old and muddle-headed. Although Yang Ming's voice was not loud, it was very powerful. Everyone present heard it clearly. In the entire hall, there was an awkward silence immediately. Everyone looked in the direction of Yang Ming. Yang Ming actually called 7th grandfather Qin an old man. This kind of provocation to 7th grandfather Chen's dignity had never happened before. These people were at a loss for a while. All of them kept quiet out of fear. Little brat, what did you say? 7th grandfather Chen was infuriated by Yang Ming's words. He raised the crutch in his hand and smashed it at Yang Ming. Where did you come from? Which family are you from? I'll kill you. Yang Ming curled his lips and dodged casually, avoiding 7th grandfather Chen's crutch. He thought to himself, this is also because you are older. Otherwise, if someone else dared to wave the crutch at Yang Ming would have already returned the favor. Chapter 1552. Chen Fei's expression was uncertain. Obviously, he was struggling. 7th grandfather Chen's prestige was deeply rooted in the Qin family village. Chen Fei had respected and loved 7th grandfather Qin since he was young, just like everyone else. However, although 7th grandfather Qin was very dignified and his words carried weight, he was also the symbol of justice in the village. Whenever a family had a conflict, as long as it was brought to 7th grandfather Qin, it would be resolved fairly. The people of the Qin family village had no choice but to submit to 7th grandfather Qin. Everyone listened to 7th grandfather Chen's words. No one had any complaints in their hearts, and no one thought of going against him. This kind of thinking instilled in Chen Fei since he was young made it very difficult for him. Although he had been out of the Qin family village for many years and had taken up a leadership position in the unit, his respect for 7th grandfather Qin had not decreased at all. However, today's matter made Chen Fei think of rebelling for the first time. 7th grandfather Chen's actions had crossed Chen Fei's bottom line. Chen Fei could not abide by and execute his words and decisions. How could Chen Mingyan's marriage be decided by someone else's casual words? Not to mention that Chen Mingyan now had a boyfriend. Even if she did not have a boyfriend, this matter must be approved by Chen Mingyan first. Thinking of this, Chen Fei gritted his teeth. 7th grandfather Qin, please calm down first. He is Mingyan's boyfriend. It is inevitable that he will be agitated. Boyfriend? What boyfriend? 7th grandfather Qin was very angry. Now that he saw Chen Fei speaking up for Yang Ming, he was even more annoyed. Well, I announce that he is not now. Chen Xiaolong is Chen Mingyan's boyfriend. Chen Xiaolong's face bloomed with joy when he heard this. Yang Ming was angry and amused. He thought, even if you are the Secretary General of the United Nations, you can't control this matter. You want to announce it. Do you think you are the emperor of the past? What you say is an imperial edict. How can you grant a marriage? Chen Mingyan's face was still pale. She was at a loss. She had never experienced such a situation. She could also see that her parents were very embarrassed when facing 7th grandfather Qin. Chen Mingyan also knew in her heart that it was difficult to resist the words of an old man whom she respected since she was young. It was already not easy for his father to say those words so decisively. One could imagine how much struggle he had in his heart. In contrast, Yang Ming did not have much respect for 7th grandfather Qin. In Yang Ming's eyes, 7th grandfather Qin was just an old man in his twilight years. Even though Yang Ming respected the old and loved the young, he would not show any mercy to people like 7th grandfather Qin who took advantage of his seniority and thought that he could do whatever he wanted because of his seniority. However, when Yang Ming wanted to speak, Chen Fei spoke first. This made Yang Ming a little surprised. Chen Fei was actually determined to resist to the end. Now, there is freedom to love and freedom to marry. Chen Fei hesitated for a moment before saying, 7th Master, what you're doing is violating the marriage law. Marriage law? Ha! 7th grandfather Qin glanced at Chen Fei coldly. Well, little Fei, you've grown up. Now that you are a bureau chief, you are actually talking to me about the law. Have you forgotten? When you were young, who was the judge in the Qin family village for everyone? Who was the one who upheld justice for everyone? In this Qin family village, I am the law. Qin Fei had a bitter expression. It was a headache to talk to 7th grandfather Qin about these things, but 7th grandfather Qin did not listen. 7th grandfather Qin, right? Yang Ming straightened his body and took half a step forward. Yang Ming knew that it was useless for anyone to speak at this time. He could only speak up himself. I don't care what you do in the Qin family village, but I can tell you that I am not a member of the Qin family village. I am not under your command. Moreover, this is not the Qin family village. It is Songjiang, the Songjiang International Hotel. It doesn't matter if you are not a member of the Qin family village, as long as Qin Mengyan is. Although 7th grandfather Qin was furious, he could also see that Yang Ming was not a member of the Qin family village and would definitely not listen to him. However, it did not matter as long as Qin Fei was a member of the Qin family village. He only needed to talk to Qin Fei. Qin Fei, I will ask you one question now. Do you still recognize me as your 7th grandfather? This 7th grandfather. Qin Fei was now in a dilemma. He knew very well in his heart that as long as he said the word recognize, 7th grandfather Qin would definitely continue to talk about Qin Mengyan and Qin Xiaolong, and he would not be able to refute. However, if he said no, he would not feel good in his heart and his conscience would not be able to live with it. For a moment, Qin Fei was in a dilemma. Okay, 7th grandfather Qin, take back your clumsy little trick. Yang Ming waved his hand and stopped Qin Fei from continuing. 7th grandfather Qin, I might as well tell you clearly now. No matter what Uncle Qin says, as long as I am here, it is useless no matter what you say. Qin Mengyan will not be engaged to Qin Xiaolong. If you like to daydream, then I advise you to go home and read more YY novels. I recommend you a book called Chasing Beauty After Rebirth written by Fishman too. It is good. I have read it. You can read it. When 7th grandfather Qin heard Yang Ming's words, his lungs were about to explode. His right hand trembled as he pointed at Yang Ming. You little beast, what did you say? What, a beast dreaming? You dare to call me a beast? And a fool? Do you want to fool me? 7th great-grandfather, please calm down. It is more important to take care of your body. When Qin Xiaolong saw that 7th grandfather Qin was so angry that he almost fainted, he quickly came over to support 7th grandfather Qin. He patted his back to soothe his breathing and explained, 7th great-grandfather, he didn't call you a beast. He wasn't talking about a beast dreaming, but chasing beauty after rebirth. It was a novel, as Qin Xiaolong explained, he pondered in his heart. The title of this book sounds quite attractive. Wait for me to find my phone and read it online. Maybe I can learn some techniques to chase after beauty. Then, I can pursue Qin Mengyan. Hee hee. It would have been better if Qin Xiaolong did not explain. Once he did, everyone's eyes were focused on him. Qin Jiya also frowned. He thought, why are you explaining to Yang Ming? He is now on the opposite side of you. Qin Xiaolong really did not think so much just now. He had just read a book written by Fishman too, very pure and very ambiguous prequel. It was written well, so he just subconsciously explained. He did not expect that he would unintentionally explain for Yang Ming. Seeing his father's and uncle's unkind gazes, as well as everyone's strange gazes, Qin Xiaolong also knew that he should not have explained this sentence for Yang Ming. The current situation was that the more he put Yang Ming on the opposite side of 7th grandfather Qin, the more 7th grandfather Qin would spare no effort to speak for him. Thinking of this, Qin Xiaolong quickly corrected himself, no, 7th great-grandfather, Yang Ming called you a beast just now. He said that you're a beast and that you're dreaming. He's fooling you. Ha! Yang Ming was still wondering why Chen Xiaolong explained for him. Before he could figure out what was going on, Chen Xiaolong suddenly did this again. Yang Ming was immediately stunned. This Chen Xiaolong is too ruthless. He is simply a talented person. A fucking talented person. This time, everyone in the Qin family village looked at Chen Xiaolong with increasingly strange gazes. Chen Jifu and Chen Jiye were even more annoyed. They glared at Chen Xiaolong fiercely, especially Chen Jiye. He had never been angry with his son before. Now, he had the urge to beat his son up. You said that you had explained everything. No one said anything about you. Why did you change your words after explaining everything? Previously, 7th grandfather Qin misunderstood that Yang Ming was scolding him. It was easy to explain. Now that you have explained everything, you said that Yang Ming was scolding him. Even if 7th grandfather Qin was old and confused, it was impossible for him not to understand what was going on. How could Chen Jia endure this? Sure enough, 7th grandfather Chen's expression eased slightly after listening to Chen Xiaolong's explanation. Although he still glared at Yang Ming, he no longer trembled. However, good times do not last forever. Chen Xiaolong's next sentence made 7th grandfather Chen tremble again. This time, not only was his whole body trembling, his face was ashen, and his breathing had become rapid. At this moment, Chen Xiaolong, Chen Jifu, Chen Jiye, and the others were frightened. They couldn't care less about scolding Chen Xiaolong and dealing with Yang Ming. They all surrounded 7th grandfather Chen, supported his back, and pinched his philtrum. However, 7th grandfather Qin still twitched all over. He directly rolled his eyes and fainted. 7th grandfather. 7th uncle. 7th great-grandfather. Everyone was immediately in chaos. Shouts, exclamations, and phone calls came one after another. Chapter 1553. After feeling that 7th grandfather Qin was still breathing, he was relieved. It seemed that 7th grandfather Qin had just fainted out of anger, and was fine. However, Chen Jifu still dialed the emergency number immediately, while Chen Jiye stared at Yang Ming and said, "Yang Ming, right? This matter is not over yet. If anything happens to 7th Master's body, you better be prepared." This was the first sentence that Chen Jiye had said to Yang Ming in a long time. The majesty of a superior was revealed all of a sudden, and the threat in his words made people feel creepy. If it were a normal person, they would definitely be suppressed by this power, but what kind of person was Yang Ming? Not to mention the existence of Chen Jiye's level, Yang Ming had seen a lot of people with higher status. Which one of them did not have a higher status than Chen Jiye? Therefore, the majesty of Chen Jiye and the threat in his words were not worth mentioning in Yang Ming's eyes. He replied coldly, "Chen Jiye, I have already given you a lot of face in my territory. Don't be so shameless. If you are not done, then go ahead. I want to see how you are not done. Besides, what does 7th grandfather Chen's fainting have to do with me? Everyone here saw it clearly. It was your precious son who made him faint. Don't try to blame someone just because you caught him. You." Chen Jiye didn't expect Yang Ming to be so calm and say these words under his coercion. In his opinion, Yang Ming would definitely be frightened by his threats first. "Don't do it. I will say it here today. I don't care how good you are in the south. This is Songjiang. In Songjiang, I advise you to abide by the law and be a good citizen. Otherwise, humph. Yang Ming didn't say the following words. Because of Qin Fei's presence, he couldn't threaten anything. Although he didn't say it directly, the threat in his words was not less than what Chen Jiye had said before. Instead, it was more direct. You. Very good. Chen Jiye's expression was uncertain. He naturally heard that Yang Ming was threatening him, but he misunderstood what Yang Ming meant. He didn't think that Yang Ming could do anything to him. In Chen Jia's opinion, the reason why Yang Ming said, "abide by the law," was because Yang Ming was relying on Chen Fei's identity as the chief of the Songjiang Police Department. This was a disguised reminder for him to be honest. Otherwise, Chen Fei would not be merciful. This was Songjiang, not the South. It was not a place where Chen Jia could play around. However, Yang Ming had no intention of using Chen Fei to suppress Chen Jia. Yang Ming alone was enough. Since you want to play dirty, I'll play dirty with you. When it came to being dirty, who could be better than Yang Ming, the king of assassins? If Chen Jia wanted to play with his identity and background, that was fine. Yang Ming knew that with his identity in the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, he was not afraid of anyone. As long as Xia Bingbao had someone to rely on, he could help Yang Ming settle it if Yang Ming didn't cause any big trouble. "Uncle Chen, let's go. It doesn't make sense to stay here." Yang Ming glanced at Chen Jia and Chen Jifu, then looked at seventh grandfather Chen, who was supported by everyone on the sofa. He had just opened his eyes but couldn't speak. Then, he said to Chen Fei, "If they are willing to return to their hometown in glory, then let them. Let's not get involved." As for seventh grandfather Chen, he is no longer the fair seventh grandfather in your memory. Everyone is selfish. Chen Xiaolong is his great-nephew. Humph. Yang Ming didn't finish his words, but he believed that Chen Fei should be able to understand the meaning behind it. Sure enough, Chen Fei sighed helplessly. He glanced at the Chen brothers, then looked at seventh grandfather Chen. Then, he stood up and bowed solemnly to seventh grandfather Chen. Then, he said, "Seventh grandfather, little Fei thanks you for your care in the past. Thank you for being the matchmaker between Fang Yu and me. However, today's matter concerns Mingyan's lifelong happiness. Little Fei is unable to comply. Seventh grandfather, please forgive me. In the future, if seventh grandfather recognizes Little Fei will still respect seventh grandfather as before. If seventh grandfather doesn't recognize Little Fei will still respect seventh grandfather in his heart." After saying that, Chen Fei bowed again. After 3 bows, he cupped his fist and said, "Seventh grandfather, Little Fei will take his leave first." Seventh grandfather Chen looked at Chen Fei, who had a resolute look in his eyes. The corners of his mouth squirmed twice, but he didn't say anything in the end. His entire person seemed to have aged a lot in an instant after tonight's incident. He no longer had the hale and hearty spirit he had before. Looking at seventh grandfather Chen's dispirited state, Yang Ming sighed secretly. He didn't want to argue with an old man anymore. He just shook his head and said, "Seventh grandfather Chen, let me give you a piece of advice. Children and grandchildren have their own blessings. Don't work for them. In the end, not only did you fail, but you also got yourself into trouble. You were looked down upon in front of everyone for no reason. At your age, the most important thing is to be able to look on the bright side and keep your heart at ease." In the end, Yang Ming didn't scold seventh grandfather Chen. Instead, he said these words from the bottom of his heart. If seventh grandfather Chen was wise, he would let go of everything and stop worrying about these useless things. "Fang Yu, Mingyan, Yang Ming, let's go." Chen Fei turned around and said to Yang Ming and the others. "Wait. You can't go." Chen Jifu spoke at this time. "Jifu, what do you mean?" Chen Fei frowned and glanced at Chen Jifu. He couldn't get angry. "Chen Fei, you also came from the Qin family village. Seventh grandfather is like this now. Isn't it all because of your daughter's little bastard boyfriend? You can go, but he has to stay." Chen Jifu said coldly, since you are the police chief, you should know that we are all victims. We want Yang Ming to stay. He can only leave after confirming that there is no problem with seventh grandfather. Otherwise, what should we do if he doesn't admit to it? Ha! Yang Ming laughed instead of being angry. He looked at Chen Jifu with contempt in his eyes. Chen Jifu, you know the truth of the matter. Although I, Yang Ming, am not afraid of trouble, I am not willing to be the scapegoat for your nephew. Today, I will leave. Let's see who can stop me. Chen Jifu glanced at Chen Jie. He wanted Chen Jie to use the power of the bodyguards to force Yang Ming to stay. Chen Jifu wasn't doing this because of seventh grandfather Chen. He had long hated Yang Ming. He was going to wait for Chen Fei to leave, then find a place where no one was around to teach Yang Ming a lesson. However, Chen Jie was indifferent. Chen Jifu really didn't know what to do. In fact, Chen Jie also had his own thoughts. He took Yang Ming's warning to heart. He was also a little afraid of Chen Fei's identity. If he forced his bodyguards to stay, not only would he fail to keep Yang Ming, but it might also backfire. Chen Fei would arrest the two security guards for the crime of obstructing other people's personal freedom. It would be a loss, so Chen Jie really didn't dare to act rashly. Let them go. Just when everyone was in a deadlock, seventh grandfather Chen suddenly spoke. Seventh grandfather. You. Chen Jifu turned his head in disbelief and looked at seventh grandfather Chen on the sofa. Chen Jie did the same. I said, let them go, seventh grandfather Chen repeated his words. This. Chen Jifu was a little embarrassed. Previously, he wanted to force Yang Ming to stay in the name of seventh grandfather Chen, but he didn't expect seventh grandfather Chen to let Yang Ming go. Seventh great-grandfather, you can't let him go. You can't let Chen Mengyan go either. Chen Xiaolong shouted anxiously. Seventh grandfather Chen glanced at his beloved great-grandnephew and sighed. He thought of Yang Ming's words, children and grandchildren have their own blessings. Don't be an ox for your children and grandchildren. Although this sentence was simple, how reasonable was it? He had never done anything wrong in his life. Only this time, after knowing that Chen Mengyan had a boyfriend, he still stubbornly wanted her to marry his great-grandnephew. How unreasonable was this? Chapter 1554. Seventh grandfather Chen shook his head when he thought of Chen Xiaolong's careful explanation of chasing beauty after rebirth. This great-grandnephew is really useless. On the contrary, Yang Ming is brave and resourceful. He is not afraid in the face of danger. Especially the last sentence, seventh grandfather Chen suddenly woke up. He should not have been involved in this matter from the beginning to the end. He should not have listened to Chen Jie and Chen Jifu and helped Chen Xiaolong to propose marriage. Now, not only did he lose face in front of the people of the Qin family village, but he was also scolded by a junior in front of so many people. However, this junior's words were very reasonable, so seventh grandfather Qin could not refute. Seventh grandfather Qin gritted his teeth and decided not to care about this matter anymore. Although this seemed to be a little weak, in fact, if seventh grandfather Qin continued to pester endlessly, he would be looked down upon even more. Especially after Yang Ming's words, everyone was not a fool. They were in awe of seventh grandfather Qin, but they were not unreasonable. Therefore, seventh grandfather Qin decided to let Yang Ming, Chen Fei, and the others leave quickly. Out of sight, out of mind. As for the matter between Chen Xiaolong and Chen Mengyan, Yang Ming's words were right. Children and grandchildren have their own fortune. Let Chen Xiaolong think of a way himself. I'm tired. Seventh grandfather Qin ignored Chen Xiaolong's pleading, waved his hand faintly and said. Seventh great-grandfather. At this time, even if Chen Xiaolong was stupid, he knew that 7th grandfather Chin did not intend to care about his matter anymore. He was suddenly shocked. As a matter of fact, he had seen it before. Chen Mengyan didn't know why, but she didn't seem to be interested in his wealth. He didn't know what means Yang Ming used to make Chen Mengyan so loyal. If 7th grandfather Chin spoke up, Chen Xiaolong felt that he still had some confidence. Now that 7th grandfather Chin did not care, Chen Xiaolong was a little scared. He had tried to probe several times, but Chen Mengyan was indifferent to his hints. Thinking about it, this Yang Ming should have something powerful that made Chen Mengyan not betray him so easily. What exactly does Chen Mengyan fancy about Yang Ming? Could it be that Yang Ming was better in that aspect? Chen Xiaolong speculated maliciously. He thought to himself, I'm not bad either. I should find an opportunity to let Chen Mengyan experience it. Okay, stop talking. Let them go. Let's continue with the banquet. 7th grandfather Chin waved his hand impatiently before Chen Xiaolong could finish his words. Can I leave now? Yang Ming glanced at Qin Jifu coldly. His previous bad impression of 7th grandfather Chin had reduced a little. Yang Ming had always been very tolerant of the elderly. Qin Jifu's old face turned red. He glared at Yang Ming fiercely and did not speak. 7th grandfather Chin had already spoken. No matter how unwilling Qin Jifu was, he had to let Yang Ming leave. He cursed in his heart. Yang Ming better fall to his death when he goes out later. Yang Ming naturally did not care about what Qin Jifu and Chen Xiaolong were thinking. He turned around, took Chen Mingyan's hand, and entered the elevator with Qin Fei's family. As the elevator door closed, Qin Fei and the people of the Qin family village would no longer have anything to do with each other in the future. Qin Fei sighed. Before he came, he did not expect things to come to this point. However, Qin Fei had no choice. If he could do it all over again, Qin Fei would still stand up. Uncle Chen, 7th grandfather Chen, is not muddle-headed. He is just blinded by Qin Jifu and Qin Jiye. My last words should have woken him up. Otherwise, he would not have let us leave so easily. Yang Ming also saw Qin Fei's depression and advised, so, your relationship with 7th grandfather Qin will not be affected. I hope so. Qin Fei spoke and smiled reluctantly. He patted Yang Ming's shoulder. It's been hard on you today. You have been restraining yourself. Qin Fei knew very well that Yang Ming was not the same as before. With his identity as the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, he would not be afraid of anyone. Even if he really caused a big mess, Yang Ming would deal with it. In Bianhai City, the entire Golden Hawk gang was annihilated. Qin Fei also heard a thing or two from Xiao Bingbao. While sighing at Yang Ming's ruthlessness, he also knew that Yang Ming must have some kind of great ability. Otherwise, Xiao Bingbao would not value Yang Ming so much. Here, it was not easy for Yang Ming to only say a few harsh words and not make a move because of Qin Fei's face. Otherwise, with Yang Ming's temper, it was possible for him to directly throw Chen Xiaolong off the 6th floor. Yang Ming smiled tacitly and did not say anything. It seemed that Qin Fei was gradually aware of his other side. However, with the identity of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, it was easy to hide. Yang Ming was not afraid that his identity as an assassin would be exposed. I didn't expect that the brothers Qin Jifu and Qin Jiye would become like this. Chen Fangyu also sighed. The relatives who played with each other since childhood actually want to scheme against our little Yen. I think we should avoid these people in the future. Auntie Chen is right. Uncle Chen, if Qin Jifu and Qin Jiye look for you in the future, no matter what, just refuse them directly. Yang Ming hesitated and reminded, these two people have bad intentions. Who knows if they will set a trap again? One should not have the heart to harm others, but one should always be on guard against others. Yang Ming knew the truth of this sentence very well. He used to be negligent in guarding against Wang Jitao. He almost regretted it for life, so the current Yang Ming was cautious. I understand. Chen Fei nodded and smiled at Chen Fangyu and Yang Ming. He said, don't forget what kind of industry I am in. They are still too inexperienced to set a trap for me. Then how do you explain today? Chen Fangyu snorted. Today. Chen Fei was a little embarrassed. I didn't think of it today. Well, Uncle Chen, Auntie Chen, don't worry about those useless things. Since it's already over, don't think about it. Yang Ming smiled and said, we came here to eat, but we didn't manage to eat. Why don't we find a place to eat something? Why are we still looking for a place? Isn't this a restaurant? Chen Mengyan pulled Yang Ming's hand and said, let's eat here. I'm a little hungry. Yang Ming patted his head and remembered that this was a restaurant, and it was his territory. Why are we still looking for a restaurant? During the meal at Chen Mengyan's house, Chen Mengyan was busy with Chen Fangyu and did not eat much. It was equivalent to not eating anything after returning from Maitina town. It would be strange if she was not hungry. Then let's eat here. Should I get another private room? Yang Ming looked at Chen Fei and Chen Fangyu. Don't look at us. You and Meng Yan can decide. Chen Fei didn't care. It was the same wherever they ate. Yang Ming nodded. After the elevator stopped on the first floor, Yang Ming walked out of the elevator. Manager Lu in the lobby was talking to a receptionist at the front desk. He suddenly saw Yang Ming coming out of the elevator from the corner of his eyes. He quickly stood up straight, but he didn't directly walk over. He saw that Yang Ming didn't want to expose his identity, so Manager Lu maintained a state of standby. Manager Lu. Yang Ming waved at him and motioned him to come over. When Manager Lu saw that Yang Ming called him, he immediately ran over and said with a smile, Mr. Yang, do you have any orders? Find me a private room. I want to eat something, said Yang Ming. Okay. Manager Lu nodded. Do you want to use the special villa on the top floor? It doesn't have to be so troublesome. Yang Ming waved his hand. Yang Ming knew that he was talking about the two-story pavilion on the top floor of the International Hotel, but Yang Ming just wanted to have a meal. There was no need for such a big scene. Okay, then I will find one for you. After Manager Lu finished speaking, he ran to the computer at the front desk and found a private room. Then he said to Yang Ming, Mr. Yang, shall I take you up? No need. Yang Ming waved his hand. Tell me the room number. I will go up by myself. Okay. Manager Lu didn't insist and said, private room 307. I will tell the waiter above. Yang Ming nodded and then said to Chen Fei, Uncle Chen, let's go up now. As he spoke, he pressed the call button for another elevator. Chapter 1555. After Yang Ming and the others left, Chen Jie winked at the two bodyguards beside him. The two bodyguards immediately understood and quietly disappeared from behind Chen Jie. They came to the door of another elevator, glanced at the number on the elevator that Yang Ming was in, then decisively entered the elevator and pressed the button for the first floor. The departure of these two people did not attract anyone's attention. These two were insignificant people. No one would deliberately look for them, so even seventh grandfather Qin did not notice that two people were missing from Chen Jie's side. However, Chen Jifu and Chen Xiaolong noticed this scene. Chen Xiaolong smiled and thought, Yang Ming, I'll let you show off in front of me. Aren't you good at pretending? This time, I'll let you see whether one person's fist is stronger or two people's fists are stronger. Two fists can't fight against four hands. This will kill you. Just as the two bodyguards exited the elevator on the first floor, they saw the back of Qin Fei and Qin Fangyu entering another elevator. The two bodyguards were not in a hurry to return to the elevator. Instead, they pretended to wait for someone and watched the number on the elevator that Yang Ming was in slowly increase. When the number on the elevator passed the number on the third floor, it stopped and did not move for a long time. They went to the third floor. Bodyguard A said to Bodyguard B, "They didn't go out. Why did they go back?" Bodyguard B frowned. "Call Mr. Chen and ask." Mr. Chen just hinted that we should follow them, but he didn't say anything else. Bodyguard A nodded, took out his mobile phone, and dialed Chen Jie's phone number. The Qin family village's welcome dinner for Chen Jie began as scheduled. Although the atmosphere was still lively, the entire venue was indescribably depressing after Yang Ming's previous disturbance. Although seventh grandfather Qin had recovered a lot, he was still listless. He sat there, didn't talk much, and didn't eat. The other people in the Qin family village didn't dare to make any noise or disturb the old man. Chen Jie was chatting with a person from the Qin family village about what had happened in the past few years. Suddenly, the phone in his pocket rang. Chen Jie took it out and glanced at the caller ID. He quickly made an apologetic gesture to the person beside him. "Sorry, I have to answer the call first." "It doesn't matter." That person was just trying to build a relationship with Chen Jie. His purpose was to let his son, who would graduate from college next year, work in Chen Jie's company, so that Chen Jie would take care of him. Chen Jie had already agreed to the person's request, so the person had no need to dawdle with Chen Jie. When he heard that Chen Jie had something to do, he quickly dodged to the side. "Hello." Chen Jie picked up the phone. "What's the matter?" "Boss, Yang Ming and the others didn't leave the hotel. Instead, they took another elevator and went to the third floor. It seems that they are going to eat here," Bodyguard A reported to Chen Jie. "Oh." Chen Jie frowned. "You guys go too. Just focus on that Yang Ming. Wait for an opportunity to teach him a lesson when he is alone." "Okay, boss," Bodyguard A said. "Don't let Qin Fei find out, and don't let Yang Ming see through your origins." "Be quick," Chen Jie ordered. "Do you hear me?" "Don't worry, boss. We will never let you down," Bodyguard A responded. Chen Jie hung up the phone with satisfaction. He had to teach this Yang Ming a lesson first to relieve the hatred in his heart. On the one hand, it was also to intimidate and threaten Yang Ming. Next, it would be easier for him to negotiate with Yang Ming. He believed that after this, Yang Ming would not dare to ask for too much, nor would he dare to not agree to his request. The most important thing was not to leave any evidence. Even if Qin Fei was suspicious, there was nothing he could do. No matter what, they were still relatives. It had not reached the point of falling out, so Qin Fei could only suffer in silence. What's more, as long as Yang Ming was dealt with, Yang Ming and Qin Mengyan would break up. Why would Qin Fei care about Yang Ming's matters? At that time, Qin Xiaolong would be Qin Fei's son-in-law. Would he stand up for his ex-son-in-law and offend his current son-in-law? That was purely out of his mind. After Yang Ming entered the private room, he casually ordered a few home-cooked dishes that Qin Mengyan liked to eat. Then, he gave the menu to Qin Fei. Qin Fei also casually ordered a few dishes. Everyone was on the same side, so there was no need to be particular. The dishes that were ordered were what everyone wanted to eat. The waiter had already been instructed by Manager Liu. He was indescribably respectful to Yang Ming. He immediately passed the menu without hesitation. "Yang Ming, why don't you drink with Uncle Qin?" Qin Fei suggested. "I drove here." Although Yang Ming didn't drink much, it was more dangerous to drive drunk. Especially when Qin Mengyan, Qin Fei, and Qin Fangyu were in the car, he had to be more careful. Hee, that's not easy. Just let the security guard, little Wang, send us back. Chen Fei was a little depressed today. He wanted to drink some wine, but it was meaningless to drink by himself, so he wanted to pull Yang Ming. Okay, then I will drink with Uncle Chin. Yang Ming nodded. Meng Yan, are you not afraid that Yang Ming will drink too much? Chen Fei saw that Yang Ming agreed, and he was happy. But he thought of Chen Meng Yan, so he asked. So be it. Chen Meng Yan blushed. In front of her parents, how could she care about Yang Ming's matters? Hee, Uncle Chen, don't worry. My alcohol tolerance is still good. Yang Ming smiled and said, even if I drink too much, I will just sleep for a while. Chen Fangyu also knew that Chen Fei was very uncomfortable in his heart. After all, seventh grandfather Chen, whom he respected since he was young, had a falling out with him. Chen Fangyu's heart was very uncomfortable. The wine and dishes were served quickly. Chen Mengyan and Chen Fangyu only ate the dishes and the staple food. Yang Ming accompanied Chen Fei to drink one cup after another. Yang Ming was still okay. He was just a little confused. Chen Fei had something on his mind, so he was soon a little drunk. He began to talk about some things that happened between him and Chen Fangyu in the Chen family village. Yang Ming did not interrupt. He just listened silently. After 3 rounds of wine, Yang Ming felt that his bladder was a little bloated, so he stood up and said to Chen Fei, Uncle Chen, I will go to the bathroom first. I will continue to drink with you when I come back. Chen Fei waved his hand and motioned for Yang Ming to go and come back quickly. Yang Ming pushed open the door of the private room and walked out. In an instant, at the end of the restaurant corridor, 2 men suddenly turned around. Then, like 2 drunk guests, they hugged each other's shoulders and walked forward step by step. This turning around was only done in an instant, but it still did not escape Yang Ming's eyes. How sharp was Yang Ming's intuition? He immediately found the abnormality of these 2 people. Although Yang Ming was a little dizzy at the moment, his mind was very clear. He walked in the direction of the bathroom and did not show any abnormality to the 2 people in front of him. However, while walking forward, Yang Ming secretly checked the 2 people in front of him with his special ability. At first glance, Yang Ming's mouth showed a trace of mockery. This Chen Jie and Chen Xiaolong really don't give up. These 2 bodyguards actually followed him all the way here. Yang Ming naturally would not naively think that these 2 people appeared here by coincidence. If these 2 people were not here for him, even ghosts would not believe it. Especially the appearance of these 2 people. Yang Ming remembered them in the elevator before he came here, so he had a deep impression of them. He came out. He seems to be walking in the direction of the bathroom. Bodyguard A hugged Bodyguard B's neck and pretended to be drunk. He walked forward step by step, but his mouth whispered. Then, let's go to the bathroom first and make our move there. Bodyguard B suggested. Okay, let's go in first and see if there is anyone inside. We will hide inside and wait for Yang Ming to come in. Then, we will make our move. Bodyguard A nodded in agreement. Then, it settled. As Bodyguard B spoke, he and Bodyguard A quickened their pace and entered the bathroom first. After the washroom door was closed, Bodyguard A and Bodyguard B immediately separated from each other. They no longer looked like they were drunk and returned to normal. They began to quickly patrol the washroom. Fortunately, there was no one else in the bathroom except for the 2 of them. This was not surprising. There were bathrooms on every floor of the hotel. It was common for one of them to be empty. Chapter 1556. I don't have anyone here. How about you? Bodyguard A asked hurriedly. Although Yang Ming was still some distance away from the bathroom, the distance of a few dozen meters could be completed in an instant, so they had to hurry. I don't have anyone here either. Bodyguard B said excitedly, this is a godsend opportunity. I think we should teach that young brat a lesson here. Well, this is a good opportunity, but the boss said not to let that young brat see through our origins. I'm afraid that we will have to disguise ourselves, not let him recognize us, Bodyguard A said. That's true, but the two of us left in a hurry and didn't make any preparations, Bodyguard B muttered. Why don't we wait for Yang Ming to come in and knock him out? If we knock him out, we won't be able to achieve the purpose of teaching him a lesson. Besides, even if he is knocked out, what if he wakes up in pain and sees us? Bodyguard A said disapprovingly. That's true, and we can't guarantee that we can knock that brat out immediately. Bodyguard B nodded. We have to find a mask. How can there be a mask here? Bodyguard A frowned. By the way, do you have silk stockings or something like that? I've seen on TV that those criminals wear silk stockings on their heads when they commit crimes. Fuck. I'm a man, and I don't have any special hobbies. Where do I get silk stockings? Am I supposed to wear them on my body? Bodyguard B glared and said with some dissatisfaction. Then what should we do? That young brat is coming soon. Are we going to smear feces on our faces? Bodyguard A said anxiously. I have a good idea, Bodyguard B suddenly said. What idea? Say it. Bodyguard A hurriedly urged. We can take off our underwear and put it on our heads. Wouldn't that work? Bodyguard B suggested. What kind of fucking idea is this? Bodyguard A frowned, but after a moment of silence, he nodded and said, it seems that this is the only way. Take it off. So, Bodyguard A and Bodyguard B quickly took off their pants, then took off their underwear and put it on their heads. After that, they quickly put on their pants again. If I knew this earlier, I would have changed into a new pair of underwear yesterday. It smells so bad. Bodyguard A complained. Motherfucker, I'm the one who's miserable. I suddenly had a stomachache on the plane today, so I ran to the toilet and found someone inside. I held it in for a long time, and in the end, I let out a few farts and brought my feces out. Now, it smells like feces. Bodyguard B said bitterly. Then stay away from me. Bodyguard A quickly moved to the side. After Yang Ming came to the bathroom door, he was not in a hurry to go in. Instead, he stood at the door and used his special ability to monitor the movements of the two bodyguards. When he saw that they actually put their underwear on their heads, especially after listening to their conversation, Yang Ming almost burst out laughing. And the conversation between the two people was even more so. Underwear with feces. Even a badass person like Yang Ming couldn't help but admire them. These two people were too badass. They were even more badass than him. This time, the kid surnamed Yang definitely won't recognize us. Although Bodyguard B smelled his own feces, he could only endure it for the sake of the situation. And Chen Fei is the chief of the Songjiang police station. If he knows, I'm afraid we won't have a good time. Even if the boss doesn't remind us, we still have to be careful. Bodyguard A nodded in agreement. But, why hasn't this Yang Ming come in yet? We prepared for nothing for a long time. Could it be that he came to the bathroom? It can't be. I saw him coming in this direction. Besides the bathroom, there is only the emergency passage. Even if he wants to go downstairs, he has to take the elevator. He can't take the stairs by himself, right? Bodyguard B analyzed. Then, should I open the door and take a look? Bodyguard A hesitated and said. Although the two of them had been seizing the time to take off their pants and put on their underwear, they also spent a lot of time going out. No matter how slow Yang Ming walked, he should have walked from the private room to the bathroom. It was impossible for him to not come over after so long, right? Don't. If you open the door, what if the kid surnamed Yang comes in at this time? Wouldn't he bump into him? Bodyguard B objected to Bodyguard A's proposal. That's right. Bodyguard A nodded and said, then, let's lean on the door and listen to the movements outside. And, that's not a problem. Bodyguard B nodded and leaned his ear on the bathroom door. Yang Ming stood outside the bathroom, thinking about whether to make a move on these two bodyguards. To be honest, Yang Ming didn't want to reveal his strength in front of Chen Jie too early. This Chen Jie gave Yang Ming an intuition that he must have some tricks up his sleeve. He wouldn't just have these few tricks. Although Yang Ming wasn't afraid of him, Yang Ming didn't want to directly shed all pretense of cordiality and embarrass Qin Fei due to the complicated relationship between Qin Fei and seventh grandfather Qin if it wasn't a last resort. Of course, if Chen Jie didn't want to give him face and kept finding trouble with him, then he wouldn't mind teaching him a lesson. However, it was obviously not Yang Ming's character to just let these two bodyguards go. At this moment, Yang Ming's phone rang. Yang Ming glanced at the caller ID. It was Qin Fei calling. In an instant, a plan popped up in his mind. Hello, Uncle Qin. Yang Ming picked up the phone. Yang Ming, why did you take so long to go to the bathroom? Did you fall into the bathroom? Do you want me to go find you? Qin Fei's voice came from the phone. How could that be? I just went to the wrong bathroom just now. Yang Ming said with a smile. He already had a plan in his heart. His special ability locked on the two bodyguards in the bathroom. I drank a little too much. I was dizzy and couldn't tell north from south. You can't hold your liquor, kid. I thought you were quite good. Qin Fei suddenly laughed after listening to Yang Ming's words. In the bathroom, Bodyguard B frowned. The kid surnamed Yang seems to be answering the phone at the door. He said something about Uncle Qin. It seems like Qin Fei is calling. Let me listen. Bodyguard A also put his ear on the door and listened carefully to the movement outside the door. Then, he said, motherfucker, he really is on the phone. It seems that we can't make a move. If we make a move, the person on the other side of the phone will definitely hear it clearly. If Qin Fei hears it, I'm afraid he will come to the door immediately. Won't we be unlucky then? That's right. Motherfucker, we are really unlucky. Bodyguard B nodded and said gloomily. After Yang Ming heard the words of the two people, there was a sneer at the corner of his mouth. This was his plan. He was sure that these two guys wouldn't dare to make a move on him when he was answering Qin Fei's call. Then, he would just wait for him to ravage them. Yang Ming used his special ability to look at the two bodyguards who were leaning on the door in the bathroom. He suddenly lifted his foot and kicked the bathroom door. With a bang sound, the bathroom door was kicked by Yang Ming fiercely toward the two bodyguards inside. The two bodyguards were directly slammed to the door and fell to the ground. Behind the door was the big bucket that stored the garbage. The two bodyguards slipped and knocked over the big bucket. The garbage in the big bucket splashed onto the two bodyguards and buried them directly. Ugh! Bodyguard B's head was directly knocked over. He snorted, rolled his eyes, and fainted directly. Bodyguard A was also knocked over heavily. His nose was bleeding, but he didn't dare to make a sound. He cursed in his heart. This Yang Ming just opened the door. Why did he use so much force? Is he crazy? He didn't think that Yang Ming would do it deliberately because Yang Ming was standing outside the bathroom. It was impossible for him to know that the two of them were leaning on the bathroom door. How could it be intentional? There was no window on the door. However, how could he know that Yang Ming had a special ability that could see through things? Therefore, the end of these two bodyguards was very tragic. Chapter 1557. The refreshing feeling brought by this kind of sneak attack made Yang Ming feel more comfortable than beating them up. Yang Ming didn't look at the two people who fell behind the door because Yang Ming had already seen their fate with his special ability. Yang Ming took the phone and walked into the bathroom. "What's so loud?" Chen Fei heard the sound of Yang Ming kicking the door, so he asked. "Oh, the door of this hotel's bathroom is a return door. It's a bit tight. I just couldn't push it open, so I kicked it. As a result, it opened," Yang Ming explained. On the surface, Yang Ming said it for Chen Fei. In fact, Yang Ming said it for the two bodyguards. In order to prevent them from doubting, he explained it. Sure enough, the bodyguard who didn't faint heard Yang Ming's words and rolled his eyes. He was depressed. "Why am I so unlucky? I haven't met him yet. I haven't taught Yang Ming a lesson, and I was knocked away by the door panel. My nose is bleeding. Looking at my partner, he is still unconscious. It's really a bad start." Yang Ming pretended to be drunk and walked into the bathroom. He didn't even look at the urinal on the opposite side. He waited for the return door to close automatically with a bang. Then, he unbuttoned his pants and started shooting at the pile of garbage behind the door. As he sprayed, he talked to Chen Fei on the phone. "Uncle Chin, why is this bathroom so dirty? Is there garbage everywhere? I'm standing in the garbage and peeing." "Yang Ming, did you go to the wrong place?" Chen Fei was suddenly inexplicable. "Are you going to the bathroom? Don't pee everywhere. It seems to be so, right?" Yang Ming's mouth showed a hint of a smile that was hard to miss, then he said. "Forget it. Anyway, it's your own hotel. You can do whatever you want." Chen Fei said helplessly, "It seems that you are really drunk." "Drunk? I'm not drunk. I'm sober," Yang Ming said with a big tongue. The water under his body didn't stop. Although the garbage had already covered the bodies of bodyguards A and B, Yang Ming had special abilities. He could directly lock the position of the two people, so the urine was directly sprayed on the two people's bodies. Bodyguard A was going crazy. His nostrils were full of Yang Ming's urine. He really wanted to jump out of the garbage and throw Yang Ming into the toilet. However, he finally endured it. Because he couldn't explain why he was hiding in the garbage. Even if the garbage was knocked down by Yang Ming, he couldn't explain why he was sneakily hiding next to the door. Well, even if it was all a coincidence, and Yang Ming and Chen Fei believed it, how could they explain the underwear on their heads? Could he say that he was pretending to be Superman in underwear? Bodyguard A didn't want to complicate matters and make Chen Fei suspicious. After all, both of them were Chen Jia's bodyguards. Once Chen Fei came over, he could find out their identities as long as he investigated. How could there be such a coincidence in this world? The ulterior motives of these two people would be exposed. So, Bodyguard endured it. When he couldn't help it, he thought of the masters in Japan. For example, Ninja Turtles. So, Bodyguard A continued to endure and march toward the highest level of Ninja Turtles. Looking at Bodyguard A's unpredictable expression, how could Yang Ming not guess this guy's thoughts? Bodyguard A was probably afraid that the urine would go into his nose. He didn't dare to breathe or open his mouth. He just kept holding his breath. Seeing this, Yang Ming's mouth flashed a smirk. He suddenly stopped shooting under his body as if he had finished peeing. He even shivered all over. When Bodyguard A saw that there was no more urine flying down, he thought that Yang Ming had finished peeing. He was suffocating just now. He quickly opened his mouth to take a deep breath, but he didn't expect that the moment he opened his mouth, a stream of urine sprayed down without warning. It directly sprayed into Bodyguard A's mouth and choked his lungs. He didn't dare to cough, so his face turned purple like a pig's liver. Yang Ming smiled secretly. He fastened his pants, turned around and swaggered out of the bathroom door. Then, he said to the phone in his hand, "Uncle Chin, let's talk later." "I'm going back." "Oh, then we'll talk when you come back. You have to be careful." "Do you want me to ask Meng Yan to pick you up?" Chen Fei said with some worry. Hee, Uncle Chen, I'm fine." Yang Ming's tone suddenly returned to normal. "I can go back by myself." Chen Fei was slightly stunned. He shook his head, but he didn't believe Yang Ming's words. Generally, how many drunk people would say that they were drunk? Yang Ming put the phone into his pocket. This phone was the Nokia 1200 that he bought for Chen Mengyan. After Chen Mengyan changed to the N97, this phone was no longer used. Yang Ming's phone was soaked in water, so when he was at Chen Mengyan's house, he put the SIM card in this old phone. It could still be used, but it didn't have so many functions. He couldn't read novels on it. Yang Ming also changed his previous swagger. He returned to the private room normally and sat back in his seat. Chen Fei looked at Yang Ming's clear eyes in disbelief. He didn't look like a drunk person at all. He asked curiously, "Yang Ming, are you sober?" "Uncle Chen, I'm not drunk." Yang Ming said with a smile, "I was pretending just now." "Pretending?" Chen Fei frowned. "Why are you pretending to be drunk?" Chen Fei didn't think that Yang Ming was pretending to be drunk to amuse him. He must have a purpose, so he wasn't angry. With his understanding of Yang Ming couldn't be such a bored person. When I went out just now, I met Chen Jia's 2 bodyguards." Yang Ming didn't hide it and said with a smile. "The 2 bodyguards?" Chen Fei's expression became more dignified. "Are they going to harm you?" Yang Ming nodded. There was no need to hide this matter from Chen Fei. Even if he really fell out with Chen Jia in the future, Chen Fei wouldn't blame Yang Ming if he knew the contradiction in advance. The 2 of them saw that I was going to the bathroom, so they hid in there first. Yang Ming wanted to laugh as he said this. They wanted to make a move on me in the bathroom. As a result, I received your call at the bathroom door. They heard that it was you who called me, so they didn't dare to make a move on me directly. No wonder you are so patient, kid. You talked nonsense with me for so long." Chen Fei nodded and understood Yang Ming's meaning. However, his expression was a little strange. Chen Fei knew that with Yang Ming's skill, he wouldn't be afraid of the 2 bodyguards at all. Why did he still use such a method? Yang Ming saw Chen Fei's doubts from his expression and shrugged. "I was afraid that you would be in a difficult position, so I didn't directly teach the 2 guys a lesson." Chen Fei nodded and looked at Yang Ming with some gratitude. If this matter really got out of hand, then it would be time for him and the Qin family village to break off. However, it was still necessary to teach them a lesson indirectly without making a move directly. Yang Ming said until here and smiled slyly, "So, I pretended to be drunk and kicked the bathroom door." As a result, the 2 fools were directly hit by the door panel and fell behind the door. One fainted and the other had blood all over his face. He even knocked over the trash can behind him and was covered in garbage. Chen Fei looked at Yang Ming dumbfoundedly. He thought, "This kid is really bad. I finally know why he kicked the door." Thinking of this, Chen Fei's expression suddenly became a little strange. "Yang Ming, you said that you stood on the garbage heap to relieve yourself. Could it be, that's right. These 2 people drank my piss directly." Yang Ming said with a sly smile. "Pooh." Chen Fei spat out a mouthful of wine and laughed on the table. Chen Fangyu and Chen Mengyan naturally heard the cause and effect of the matter. When they heard that Yang Ming kicked the door panel and knocked the 2 people over, they felt a little funny. When they heard that Yang Ming actually urinated on the two people, they couldn't help but cover their mouths and laugh. Yang Ming, you let the two of them suffer in silence. Even if Qin Jie knows, he can't do anything. Besides being angry, he won't have any other thoughts. While Qin Fei laughed, he also sighed at Yang Ming's wit. Chapter 1558. They are Qin Jie's hired thugs, so they should have such awareness. Yang Ming shrugged and said indifferently, moreover, they probably just think that they were unlucky. They won't think of me. Hee, Yang Ming, I find that you are quite bad, kid. Qin Fei raised the wine glass in his hand. Come, let's toast. I really didn't expect you to play such a trick. This way, I have nothing to do in the middle, and Qin Jie won't think too much about it. Uncle Qin, why do you still care about what he thinks? Yang Ming sighed. I think that today's matter won't be over just like this. Qin Jie won't stop just because of the two bodyguards' failure. I think they'll make the next move. I hope that Qin Jie can stop now. Otherwise, my relationship with the Qin family village will end here. Qin Fei actually understood very well in his heart that Yang Ming didn't make a move mainly because he was taking care of their feelings. Otherwise, even if these two people were killed by Yang Ming, no one would cry out for them. Yang Ming was now a senior agent. It was normal to be killed for attacking Yang Ming. Xia Bingbao would deal with the aftermath of this incident for Yang Ming. In the bathroom at the end of the corridor on the third floor, Bodyguard A climbed out of a pile of garbage with difficulty. He wiped the urine on his face, spat out a mouthful of phlegm, and scolded, "Brat surnamed Yang, I'm not done with you." A crisp ringtone sounded. Bodyguard A took off his underwear and took out his phone. He didn't want to answer, but when he looked at the caller ID, it was actually Qin Jie. Bodyguard A couldn't refuse to answer anyone's call, but he couldn't refuse to answer Qin Jie's call. Hello, boss. Bodyguard A picked up the phone. Where are you? Asked Qin Jie. He had waited for so long, but there was no news. He thought that these two bodyguards were discovered by Qin Fei and were killed. He was shocked, but he was relieved when he heard Bodyguard A's voice. Boss, we are now in a very safe place. Bodyguard A looked around and said carefully. How is Yang Ming? Did you teach him a lesson? Qin Jie frowned. Hurry up. Don't delay. Boss, there was a small accident just now, but it doesn't matter. We will teach that brat surnamed Yang a lesson as soon as possible, Bodyguard A promised. And then hurry up, Qin Jie ordered and hung up the phone. Bodyguard A put the phone away, and patted Bodyguard B next to him and scolded, Get up, hurry up. Ah. Bodyguard B immediately woke up and looked around at a loss. What's wrong? What happened? What do you mean what? Bodyguard A glared at Bodyguard B and said, when that young brat opened the door, the two of us were knocked over. Don't remember? Yes. I remember now. Fuck, it's that little bastard surnamed Yang. He was on the phone with Qin Fei, so we couldn't make a move. Now, where did he go? Bodyguard B recalled the previous incident. Where did he go? He left a long time ago. Bodyguard A's face was full of resentment as he said this. This guy is fucking drunk. He stood in the garbage dump and peed all over us. Oh. Bodyguard B wiped his face. Sure enough, it was still wet. His face immediately turned green. Young brat, you've gone too far. Stop scolding. Fortunately, no one came during this period of time. Otherwise, if the two of us were to be seen in this embarrassing state, it would be embarrassing. Bodyguard A reminded. Bodyguard B rubbed the back of his head that was still swollen. He stood up. We have to find a place to change our clothes and take a shower. It's too uncomfortable. I reckon that Yang Ming will drink for a while, so there's no hurry. You go get a room. I'll get 2 sets of clothes from the car, Bodyguard A said to Bodyguard B. Bodyguard B nodded. The two stood up and walked out of the bathroom. Their bodies were wet. Although the garbage was not too smelly, it was very uncomfortable on their bodies. Bodyguard B braced himself and went to the front desk. He said under the surprised gaze of the front desk lady, "Give me a restroom. I drank too much and slipped in the bathroom." "Oh. Okay, sir. Please wait a moment." The front desk lady was not surprised when she heard Bodyguard B's explanation. After all, there were all kinds of people who drank too much. It was not uncommon to slip in the bathroom. Bodyguard A quickly left the hotel and ran to the side of the road. When he arrived, there was no space left in the parking lot. The car was parked on the side of the road. Fortunately, it was not a very good car. It was a Passat sent by Chen Jifu to the airport. Chen Jia's car was a rented Rolls-Royce, but the car originally belonged to the hotel. After arriving at the hotel, it went straight back to the internal parking lot. Fortunately, there was a change of clothes in the luggage. Otherwise, where would she go to buy clothes in the middle of the night? Bodyguard took out another set of clothes for himself and Bodyguard B. Then, he locked the car and quickly ran in the direction of the hotel lobby. At this time, Bodyguard B had already gotten a room and was waiting at the elevator entrance. "The clothes have been brought. Is the room ready?" Bodyguard A asked. "It's ready. 9108, let's go up." Bodyguard B shook the door card in his hand and said. Bodyguard A nodded. After the two of them waited for the elevator to come down, they went into the elevator together. Of course, this scene was not missed by Yang Ming. Although Yang Ming returned to the room, his special ability was locked on the two bodyguards. Their every move was monitored by Yang Ming. This included their cursing of Yang Ming and their taking of the clothes from the car on the street downstairs. He also watched the two of them take the room card and go into the elevator. If the two of them gave up, Yang Ming would naturally not do anything to them and cause them trouble. After all, Yang Ming also had a perfunctory attitude because of Qin Fei's face. However, judging from the conversation between the two of them and Chen Jia's phone call, the two of them had no intention of giving up. Since they were so stubborn, Yang Ming would no longer be merciful. After sending a text message to Bao Sanli, Yang Ming put down the phone and toasted with Qin Fei again. However, it didn't take long for a white Jinbei van to stop next to the street of the Songjiang International Hotel, just behind the Passat of the two bodyguards. "Wu Ming, take some people to destroy the brake system of the Passat in front." Bao Sanli parked the car and ordered a few people in the car. "Okay, Brother Bao." Wu Ming responded and got out of the car with 3 helpers with tools. He turned around and went under the Passat in the dark. The text message that Yang Ming sent to Bao Sanli was to ask Bao Sanli to bring people to destroy the brake system of the two bodyguards' car. This idea came from Wu Ming. When Wu Ming assassinated Bao Sanli and Hou Xinhan, he destroyed their brake system, but fortunately, it was discovered by Yang Ming early, so it was prevented from causing a disaster. However, Wu Ming was now a member of the Black Butterfly assassin group. He was left behind by Yang Ming in Songjiang to assist Bao Sanli and Hou Xinhan in doing some secret things. Destroying the brake system was Wu Ming's forte, so this time when Bao Sanli received Yang Ming's text message, he directly brought him over. Wu Ming was familiar with this kind of thing, and he had helpers, so the battle quickly ended. He got out from under the car and returned to Bao Sanli's Jinbei van. "Brother Bao, it's done. And let's go." Bao Sanli nodded and returned a short message to Yang Ming. Then, he quickly drove away. Most people did not notice this scene, but some security guards on the roadside who were responsible for watching the cars noticed it. However, when they saw Bao Songlei in the driver's seat of the Jinbei van, they quickly turned around and pretended not to know anything. Chapter 1559. After Bodyguard A and Bodyguard B came to the room, they quickly took a hot shower to wash away the smell of garbage and urine on their bodies. After changing into a new set of clothes, they both breathed a sigh of relief. That felt great. This is so much more refreshing. Bodyguard B sighed. Let's not talk about those useless things. Hurry up and pack up. Let's go investigate. That kid surnamed Yang might have already slipped away. It will be troublesome if we look for him again. Bodyguard A reminded. You're right. Let's go now. Bodyguard B nodded. The two quickly packed up the old clothes that they had changed out of before, then left the room. They entered the elevator and pressed the button for the 3rd floor. The elevator stopped at the 3rd floor. The two walked out of the elevator and Bodyguard A said, You wait for me here. I'll go investigate and see if that kid surnamed Yang is still around. Be careful. Don't get caught. Bodyguard B exhorted. Don't worry. I know better than you. Otherwise, I wouldn't have fainted when you fainted just now. Bodyguard A said indifferently. Bodyguard B frowned and didn't say anything. He just waited at the entrance of the elevator. Yang Ming's special ability had been locked on the two bodyguards. How could he not know that the two of them were near the entrance of the private room? Since the two of them wanted to investigate if he was still in the private room, how could Yang Ming not let them do as they wished? Chen Mengyan asked the waiter to send in a pot of hot tea. I'm a little thirsty. Yang Ming glanced at Chen Mengyan and said to her. Okay. Chen Mengyan naturally didn't know Yang Ming's intention. She came to the door of the private room, opened it, and shouted to the waiter who was standing not far away, Waiter, I want a pot of hot tea. Okay, it'll be here soon. The waiter heard and quickly responded. Chen Mengyan immediately closed the door and returned to her seat. She said to Yang Ming, It'll be here soon. And Yang Ming deliberately did it for the two people to see. He wanted to see what their next plan was. I saw it. That little girl's surname Chen is still there. She even asked for tea. It seems that little brat surnamed Yang is also here. Bodyguard A didn't stay for long. After confirming that there were still people in the room, he quickly walked back to the elevator. What do we do now? I'm afraid we won't be able to find a chance for Yang Ming to be alone for a while. Don't tell me we have to wait for him to go to the bathroom again. Bodyguard B still had some lingering fear when he mentioned the bathroom. Forget it. Let's not talk about whether he can go to the bathroom alone. Even if he can, I won't go to that damn place. It seemed that not only Bodyguard B, but even Bodyguard A was very afraid of his previous experience. Whenever he thought about it, he would feel uncomfortable all over. Then let's wait in the car. We can see the entrance of the hotel from there. When Yang Ming and the others come out, we can see them immediately, Bodyguard B said. Let's go. It's safer in the car. We don't have to worry about being discovered by Qin Fei here. Bodyguard A nodded. Since the two of them had a plan, they quickly returned to the elevator and went downstairs. Yang Ming smiled slightly in his heart. As expected, these two people decided to track me in the car. In a while, I'll let them enjoy the speed and passion. Yang Ming didn't bother with the two of them anymore. He and Qin Fei continued to drink. Qin Fei was depressed in his heart. After exchanging drinks with Yang Ming, he was drunk and laid on the table. Auntie Qin, I think we should call it a day. Uncle Chen is drunk. Let's go back and rest early. Yang Ming looked at Chen Fei, who was lying on the table. I think so too. Chen Fangyu smiled bitterly. Old Chen's temper is embarrassing. Yang Ming smiled and shook his head. Yang Ming didn't drink much, and he had been controlling himself, so he was still very sober. Yang Ming and Chen Mengyan supported Chen Fei on the left and right. Chen Fangyu carried the bag, and the four of them went out of the private room together. Yang Ming signed the bill at the front desk of the lobby on the first floor. He asked Manager Liu to call the security captain, Little Wang. After a while, Little Wang ran over quickly. When he saw Yang Ming and the others, he immediately said, Brother Yang, should I get the car? I'll wait for you at the door. Yang Ming nodded. Soon, Little Wang drove the car to the entrance of the hotel. Yang Ming helped Chen Fei sit in the back seat. Chen Fangyu and Chen Mengyan sat on the left and right of Chen Fei. Yang Ming sat in the front row. Let's go to this place first. Yang Ming said the address of Chen Mengyan's house and said to Little Wang. Okay, Brother Yang. Little Wang started the car excitedly. He was also one of the middle-level leaders of the Songjiang International Hotel, so he had some understanding of Yang Ming's identity. He knew that Yang Ming was actually the owner behind the hotel. Bao Sanli and Ho Jinhan were responsible for Yang Ming. As for him, he could personally drive for Yang Ming, which made Little Wang feel very proud. He was afraid that after Bao Sanli knew about this matter, it was possible for him to go one step further. Wasn't the position of the hotel's security department director implicated because of the defection of the two vice presidents last time? Now that the position is still empty, I may be able to fill it. At that time, I will be the hotel's top leader. When Yang Ming's car drove out of the parking lot, bodyguard A dialed Chen Jie's phone in the roadside Passat. What's the matter? Chen Jie picked up the phone. How's the progress on your side? That kid surnamed Yang has left the hotel, but he is with Chen Fei. We plan to secretly follow behind and wait for Yang Ming to be alone before we make a move. Said bodyguard A. Then you guys be careful. Don't let others find you. Chen Jie said, where are you now? We are in a very safe place. We won't be discovered by that kid surnamed Yang. Don't worry, boss. Said bodyguard A. After hanging up the phone, bodyguard A said to bodyguard B, who was driving, drive and follow the BMW X5 in front. Okay. Bodyguard B nodded and started the car. This license plate number is quite good. It seems that this Chen Fei is also a corrupt official, right? This license plate number is probably not cheap. Both of them thought wrongly that this car belonged to Chen Fei, but they didn't know that this car was actually Yang Ming's own. That's not necessarily the case. I just saw the hotel security captain driving for them. I'm afraid that this car is the same as the previous Rolls-Royce that the boss made. It was rented from the hotel, bodyguard A analyzed. Damn, red light. Bodyguard B glanced at the signal light in front of him and frowned. What are you afraid of? Just rush over. It's not our car anyway. The boss brother will be in charge of issuing the fine, bodyguard A said indifferently. Bodyguard B felt the same when he heard this. It's more important to chase after Yang Ming now. What if I lose Yang Ming? It will be troublesome if I find him again. Thinking of this, bodyguard B stepped on the accelerator, and the car rushed over with a whoosh. After passing the checkpoint, bodyguard B naturally stepped on the brakes to slow down, but he was shocked to find that he seemed to have stepped on cotton. Bodyguard B's face changed instantly. However, he still didn't give up and stepped on the brakes twice. The result was the same. The brakes failed. The brakes failed. Bodyguard B's face turned pale instantly, and bean-sized sweat drops fell. Although they were a group of desperados before they were hired by Chen Jie, and they weren't from a regular security company, they were still afraid of death. Failed. What happened? Bodyguard A was shocked after hearing this. When he saw that Bodyguard B was stepping on the brakes continuously, and the car's speed didn't decrease at all, he was also scared. Who the fuck knows? Bodyguard B yelled, "Fuck, what should I do?" Although Bodyguard B was extremely scared, his hands were holding the steering wheel tightly. If he couldn't control the direction at this time, he would definitely die. Pull the handbrake. Bodyguard A was also very anxious, but he didn't know how to drive. He didn't know that pulling the handbrake was useless in a moving car. He pulled it subconsciously, and the car only felt a slight delay. Then, it continued to rush forward crazily. Fortunately, Bodyguard B had some common sense. He immediately turned off the car's engine, but the car was moving too fast. Under the inertia, it continued to rush forward. Chapter 1560. However, although this Bodyguard B had some common sense, he was not a professional car driver. Once the car was turned off, the steering wheel was gone. With his skills, he could not control the steering wheel at all, so, in the absence of direction and brakes, the car they were in rushed to the side of the road. However, Bodyguard B was quick-witted. He turned the steering wheel for a long time and crashed the car into the garbage station on the side of the road with a boom. Due to the buffer of the garbage station, the car did not directly hit the wall, so the two bodyguards managed to escape with their lives. Although they managed to escape with their lives, the clothes they had just changed into were once again covered in garbage when they climbed out of the car. Moreover, this garbage station was different from the garbage in the hotel's bathroom. The garbage here had been piled up for a few days. There were all kinds of things, and the stench was overwhelming. Fuck, do you know how to drive? How did you end up in the garbage again? Bodyguard A was furious when he saw his fragrant clothes become like this in the blink of an eye. If I didn't know how to drive, the two of us would be dead now. Bodyguard B rolled his eyes and said with some dissatisfaction. For a long time, the two of them had been following Bodyguard A. It couldn't be helped. Who asked Bodyguard A to follow Chinjia first? He was more trusted than Bodyguard B. Bodyguard B had no other choice but to swallow his anger. But this time, Bodyguard B couldn't bear it anymore. If it weren't for the buffer of the garbage, do you think we could survive if we hit the wall directly? Bodyguard A was just grumbling casually. After hearing Bodyguard B's words, he felt a little embarrassed. He laughed dryly and said, "We have to drag the car away as soon as possible. Although this is a backstreet alley, it's better to be safe than sorry. If the police are attracted here, it'll be really difficult to escape. Once our true identities are exposed, Chen Fei will definitely be suspicious." That's true. It is so late at night. If we drive out alone without Chinjia, we will definitely be suspected. Bodyguard B nodded. Moreover, Chen Fei is the chief of the Songjiang police station. The police in Songjiang will listen to him. We can't take this risk. Fortunately, no one will notice us here for a while, Bodyguard B said. Bodyguard A said, "I'll call the boss now and get a tow truck to tow the car away." Bodyguard A knew that he would definitely be scolded by Chinjia this time. However, he had no choice but to force himself to call. "Hello. What is it? Are you done?" Chinjia picked up the phone and asked in a low voice. "Boss, we had a small accident here. There was a problem with the car's brake system. As a result, it hit the roadside garbage can." Bodyguard A explained carefully, "We have to find a tow truck quickly to tow the car away. It will be troublesome if Chen Fei knows about it when the police come. Is there a problem with the brakes?" Chen Jie frowned. He was extremely annoyed. Why is it so troublesome to teach Yang Ming a lesson? Anything could happen. However, this car belonged to his elder brother, Chen Jifu. Although Chen Jie was annoyed, he couldn't vent. Where are you now? Boss, don't worry. We are now in a very safe place. Bodyguard A replied. When Chen Jie heard Bodyguard A's words, he was so angry that he rolled his eyes. I didn't ask if the place is safe or not. I asked where you are. If you don't tell me the location, how can I contact a tow truck for you? Oh. Bodyguard A said quickly, not far from the intersection of Heiyang Road and Jiangzhong West Road. Okay, you stay there and don't move. I'll contact a tow truck. Chen Jie was going crazy. He originally thought that it was a waste of talent to let his two bodyguards teach Yang Ming a lesson. However, he didn't know if it was because he and his two bodyguards were unlucky or something else. It was actually not settled yet. Yang Ming withdrew his special ability from bodyguards A and B's surveillance. A sneer appeared on his face. His previous guess was right. These two people suffered a loss and didn't dare to call the police to seek the truth. Instead, they had to hide and move the car away before the police arrived. This was also the reason why Yang Ming dared to let Bao Sanli take Wu Ming to destroy their brake system without any scruples. If this matter was made clear, Chen Fei would probably suspect Yang Ming after he knew about it. However, Yang Ming was sure that these two people didn't dare to let Chen Fei know, so they were doomed to swallow their anger. Brother Yang, we're here. Where should we park the car? The security captain, Little Wang, drove the car into Chen Mingyan's neighborhood and asked Yang Ming for instructions. Park in front of the building in front. Yang Ming pointed at the building where Chen Mingyan's house was located. Okay. Little Wang respectfully parked the car at the place designated by Yang Ming. Then, he got off the car and opened the back door of the car. Chen Mingyan and Chen Fangyu helped Chen Fei, who was already sober, get off the car. Thank you, Little Wang. Chen Fangyu nodded to Little Wang. You're welcome. It's what I should do. Little Wang was a little flattered. He didn't expect that Yang Ming regarded him as one of his own. He even knew Chen Mingyan's home address. As a matter of fact, if he wasn't a trusted person, how could he know this? He believed that among the people around Yang Ming, only Bao Sanli and Ho Jinhan would know such details. Yang Ming glanced at Little Wang and thought that this young man was good. He was smart and diligent. He was a useful person. Mingyan, don't go back tonight. Stay at home. Yang Ming looked at Chen Fei, who was drunk, and said to Chen Mingyan. I will stay. I can take care of Dad. Chen Mingyan nodded. Auntie Chen, then I won't go up. I just came back. I haven't gone home yet. I have to go back and take a look. Yang Ming said to Chen Fangyu. Well, then you should go back and rest early. You just drank a lot. Chen Fangyu said, when you get home, send a message to Mengyan. Don't worry. Nothing will happen. I'm actually still very sober. Yang Ming smiled. Watching Chen Mingyan's family go upstairs, Yang Ming used his special ability to see that they were safely back home. Only then did he feel relieved. When Yang Ming sent Chen Mingyan's family home, Little Wang's cell phone rang in the car. Little Wang took out the cell phone and glanced at the caller ID. It was his girlfriend who lived with him. Little Wang quickly picked it up. Little Ran, what's the matter? Didn't you get off work at 8:00 today? Why aren't you home so late? Are you fooling around somewhere? Xiao Rand bombarded him with questions. I have business. Little Wang was afraid that Yang Ming would hear him on the phone, so he lowered his voice and replied. What business? What business can you have? You're just a small security captain. What business do you have? Do you think you're the security director? Little Ran was angry when she heard Little Wang's words. Isn't the security director position in your hotel empty? If you have the ability, you can go up. Don't say that you're the chief, even if you're the deputy chief, I'll believe you if you say that you have business. What business can you have now? You're speaking so softly. Did you do something wrong and hide it from me? Don't waste my time. I really have business. Little Wang saw that his girlfriend was chattering with him. He was a little anxious. Let's talk about it at home. You yelled at me. You dare to yell at me. Little Wang, you've grown up, haven't you? When Little Ran heard that Little Wang dared to refute her, she suddenly exploded. Little Wang frowned. He really wanted to hang up the phone directly. Although Little Wang was the security captain outside, he was a typical henpecked husband at home. Little Ran's family background was better than his, so no matter what, she was superior to Little Wang. Chapter 1561. Little Wang also knew that earning 3,000 yuan a month wasn't a big sum. He couldn't afford to raise Little Ran, and he still had to rely on Little Ran's parents, so he usually swallowed his pride. As for his marriage with Little Ran, the attitude of Little Ran's parents was very unclear, which made Little Wang very depressed. He was just a small security captain. He was probably nothing in the eyes of her parents. The most intolerable thing for Little Wang was that Little Ran's parents actually introduced a partner to Little Ran last Sunday. This made Little Wang feel that he was simply too useless. If it weren't for Little Ran's strong opposition, Little Ran's parents would have succeeded. Thinking that although Little Ran ordered him around, she really loved him, Little Wang's heart suddenly softened. He didn't hang up the phone directly, but he whispered, I'm sending a big shot home. I'll tell you in detail when I go back. Big shot. Little Ran was stunned. Although she didn't quite believe it, since Little Wang said so, she still said skeptically, well, if you can't explain it to me when we go back, don't go to bed today. Little Wang smiled bitterly and hung up the phone, sighing. Although sending Yang Ming home this time was an opportunity, he might not have any gains. He just wanted to get familiar with him. How could it be so easy to be the security director of the hotel? Yang Ming naturally didn't notice Little Wang's expression. He returned to the car and said to Little Wang, drive. Let's go to the Songjiang Bus Factory family courtyard. Okay, Brother Yang. Little Wang quickly adjusted his emotions, nodded, and started the car. The car was on the way to the Songjiang Bus Factory family courtyard. The Songjiang Bus Factory family courtyard had been renamed to Mingyang District, but because it was newly changed, many people were used to calling it the Songjiang Bus Factory family courtyard. Little Wang, how old are you this year? Yang Ming looked at Little Wang, who was focused on driving, and asked casually. Brother Yang, I'm 20 this year. Little Wang didn't know why Yang Ming asked this question, but he still answered truthfully. 20. I'm 22. You don't have to call me Brother Yang, Yang Ming said with a smile. How can that be? Age doesn't matter. Ability comes first. Little Wang was startled and replied nervously. He didn't know why Yang Ming suddenly said this. As a matter of fact, both Bao Sanli and Ho Shenhan were older than him. Didn't he also respectfully call Yang Ming Brother Yang? Hee, it's up to you. Yang Ming smiled. Do you have any plans to change your job? Change jobs. Lil Wang's heart suddenly tightened. He was a little bewildered. He didn't know if Yang Ming's words were good news or bad news. He asked nervously, Brother Yang, it's my fault. Are you going to fire me? Of course not. Yang Ming smiled. I'm lacking a driver. I think you're quite good. Do you plan to drive for me? This. Little Wang suppressed the excitement in his heart. Even his hand that was holding the steering wheel was a little unstable. Brother Yang, can I do it? Even in his dreams, Little Wang never thought that his chance would actually come just like that. Moreover, it was much better than what he had expected. Originally, Little Wang thought that it was not easy for him to be the deputy director of the hotel security department, but he actually became Yang Ming's driver. Although a driver might not be as prestigious as a security team captain, it also depended on who the driver was. Little Wang knew the identity and status of Yang Ming. If he were to be a driver for Yang Ming, he was afraid that he would belong to the core circle of Yang Ming. In the future, Bao Sanli and Ho Xinhan would look up to him when they saw him. I think you're good. Now it's up to you. Yang Ming smiled. Of course, I'm willing. Little Wang said excitedly, Brother Yang, when do I take office? I don't use the car every day. I just use it occasionally. I will ask Bao Sanli to give you the position of deputy manager in the logistics department. Don't be idle. Be in charge of the company's security situation. Mingyang Entertainment doesn't have its own security department. The Mingyang Security Company is responsible for the security work. After you go there, do this. After the establishment of the security department, you will be the head of the security department. Yang Ming smiled and said, then, you will go to Mingyang Entertainment to report tomorrow. I will let Bao Sanli give you the position of deputy manager in the logistics department. With just a few words, Yang Ming had arranged Little Wang's future path. Ah! Little Wang was a little shocked. He didn't expect that Yang Ming actually arranged a position for him in the company. He had already made up his mind. Even if he was only a driver, he had the intention to continue working. However, Yang Ming's arrangement was undoubtedly like a pie falling from the sky. It made Little Wang somewhat at a loss. He felt like he was dreaming. Originally, he only expected to be the deputy director of the security department in the hotel. However, Yang Ming arranged for him to be the first director of the security department in the hotel's parent company. This made Little Wang really unable to accept the reality in front of him. Then, when I have something, I will call you. You just have to drive over. Yang Ming said, however, it won't be too frequent. If there is no big deal, I will drive myself. Yang Ming arranged this because he really lacked a reliable driver. Bao Sanli and Ho Xinhan were now very busy every day. There were a lot of things in the company waiting to be dealt with. Yang Ming couldn't always ask them to be his drivers. Although the two of them didn't say anything and were willing to drive for him, Yang Ming couldn't do this. When he saw Little Wang just now, Yang Ming had this idea. This Little Wang seemed to be quite good, so Yang Ming planned to use a period of time to look at him. If he was really a reliable and credible person, Yang Ming would gradually entrust him with important tasks. If not, he would ask him to return to Mingyang Entertainment to be the director of the security department. Then, he wouldn't have followed him in vain. Anyway, the director of the security department of the Mingyang Security Company was not an important position. It was insignificant to Yang Ming. Brother Yang, you can rest assured. I will do a good job and live up to your cultivation. Little Wang said excitedly. Yang Ming nodded. As for how Little Wang was doing, Yang Ming would observe by himself. Yang Ming had now discovered that there were too few people in his hands that he could really use. In Songjiang, except for Ho Xinhan and Bao Sanli, there was no one else he could use. If he counted Wu Ming, there were only 3, but Wu Ming still had to go back to Africa. Right, I still don't know your name. Yang Ming suddenly remembered that he only knew that he was called Little Wang. My name is Wang Lin. Little Wang replied. Oh. Wang Lin. Do you know Zhen? Asked Yang Ming. Zhen. Who is Zhen? Wang Lin was stunned. Nothing. Yang Ming smiled and shook his head. This name Wang Lin reminded him of the name of the protagonist in a web novel. Yang Ming called Bao Sanli and arranged Wang Lin's identity. Then, he got off at the Songjiang Bus Factory's residence. Wang Lin didn't drive back, but returned the car key to Yang Ming. After he reported to the company tomorrow, Bao Sanli would give him a special new car. Seeing that Yang Ming had completely disappeared from the corridor, Wang Lin excitedly pinched his face to make sure that he wasn't dreaming, but was awake. Then, he happily ran in the direction of his home. He wanted to share this good news with his girlfriend, Little Ran. Yang Ming naturally didn't think that his random action would change the fate of a person and a family. If it weren't for Yang Ming's action, Wang Lin would probably still be the former Captain Little Wang and would continue to stay in the hotel. And between him and his girlfriend, Little Ran, there would probably be some problems in the end. After all, Little Ran's parents were oppressing him. However, all of this would change tonight. If Yang Ming knew all of this, he would probably sigh with emotion. When a person had enough ability, he could unknowingly affect the people around him and change their lives and fates. Perhaps this was the so-called the greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. Today's influence was developing in a good direction. Would tomorrow's influence be in a bad direction? Yang Ming walked to the familiar door. He hadn't been home for a long time. He took out the key and opened the security door. He heard his mother's voice coming from the house. "Who is it? Is it Big Ming?" "Mom, it's me." The long-lost warmth warmed Yang Ming's heart. Chapter 1562. Big Ming, you really came back. Mother Yang was wiping the floor in the living room. When she turned around, she saw Yang Ming open the door and come in. "Mom, why are you still doing housework so late at night? Didn't I say to hire a nanny?" Yang Ming saw that his mother was wiping the floor personally, and he couldn't help but frown. "I used to work as a temporary worker in the community downstairs. I worked all day, but now I am the manager of a property company. There is no work to do in the company, but I can't stay idle. If I don't work for a day, I will feel uncomfortable." Mother Yang said with a smile, "When I am old, I will move my body and treat it as exercise." When Yang Ming heard his mother say this, he had to nod helplessly. How could she change the habit that she had developed for most of her life? "Where is my dad?" asked Yang Ming. "He is lying in the bedroom watching TV. He probably didn't hear you open the door." Mother Yang glanced at the closed bedroom door and said to Yang Ming, "Are you going to see him?" "N." Yang Ming changed into slippers and walked into the living room. He came to the door of his parents' bedroom. Yang Ming knocked on the door, then pushed the door and walked in. What's wrong with him? Why did he knock on the door when he entered? Yang Dehai thought that his wife came in. His eyes were staring at the TV screen. He didn't look back and muttered in confusion. "Dad, it's me. I am back." Yang Ming turned on the bedroom light and walked to the bed. "Oh. Didn't you, kid, go out to eat with Mingyan's family tonight? Why are you back so soon?" Yang Dehai saw that it was Yang Ming. He was a little surprised and sat up. "Don't mention it." Yang Ming smiled bitterly and said, "We parted on bad terms." "Parted on bad terms? What happened? Did you quarrel with Qin Mengyan?" Yang Dehai frowned and asked. "Of course not." Yang Ming shook his head. Uncle Chen's Chen village, an entrepreneur, came back from the south today. He felt that he had a few $100 million in his hands and returned to his hometown. After he came back, he invited everyone in the Qin village to eat. Uncle Chen's family naturally went. "A few $100 million. You sure talk big now." Yang Dehai glanced at Yang Ming, but he didn't say much. Indeed, for the current Yang family, a few 100 million was naturally nothing. After that, the entrepreneur's son began to court Qin Mengyan. The most helpless thing was that the old patriarch of the Qin family village, a person called 7th grandfather Qin, actually announced that Mengyan and the entrepreneur's son were engaged. Yang Ming was both angry and amused when he said this. Did he think that he was the emperor? In the end, we naturally parted on bad terms. Yang Ming didn't talk about the two bodyguards, and he didn't describe the conflict at that time as fierce. Instead, he downplayed it like a joke. He was also afraid that his father would be worried about him after knowing the truth. Although Yang Ming now had enough ability to protect himself, his father might not know, so Yang Ming didn't want him to worry too much. I see. Yang Dehai shook his head helplessly after listening. It's normal for a gentleman to pursue a fair lady. And the old patriarch. Old people are a bit stubborn. Don't lower yourself to their level. I naturally know this. Yang Ming smiled. Well, let's not talk about these unpleasant things. Let's talk about you and your mother. How are your health recently? How else can it be? We eat and drink every day, and there is a special private doctor who gives your mother and me regular checkups. What problems can there be? Yang Dehai smiled bitterly. Speaking of it, except for the moment of accomplishment every day, I am not as free as before. The greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. What you have to consider now is the future of the company. The welfare of thousands of company employees will naturally sacrifice a lot of your time. As Yang Ming said this, he sighed in his heart. It seemed that he was comforting Yang Ming, but in fact, wasn't Yang Ming talking to himself? Since he got the special ability, became the disciple of the King of Assassins, took over the Black Butterfly Assassin Group and the Charles family, and became a member of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, there were too many things to do every day. Although there were public and private matters, he was definitely not as free and easy as before. The ordinary campus life was far away from Yang Ming. Yang Ming really hoped that one day, he would end all the busyness and disputes now and enjoy his university life in peace. However, it seemed unlikely in the near future. You're right. Yang Dehai nodded. This is also the reason why I have insisted on not moving to a big house. In fact, your uncle has long suggested that I build a new family area in the abandoned factory behind the community and build a few villas, but I think it is not as warm as here. Although the area here is not big, it has the warmest memories of our family of 3. Now that you have grown up, I am also busier than before. You seem to be busier than me. Only your mother's work is still leisurely. Our family has fewer and fewer days to reunite. Except for the new year, you have never come back. Yang Ming was also very helpless about this, but who asked him to have so many things just after the new year? After a night of silence, Yang Ming stayed at home for the night. The next morning, he rushed to Qin Mengyan's house to pick up Qin Mengyan. Then he returned to the villa in the Huaxiang district and saw Zhou Jiejie and Lin Jiyun. The two had already known the news that Qin Mengyan had returned safely yesterday, so they were relieved and no longer anxious. At this time, when they saw Qin Mengyan, they just showed their longing and concern. They were not too shocked. Yang Ming hadn't gone to school for a long time. Naturally, he had to go to school today. However, when the 4 people walked out of the villa and were about to get in the car, there was an accident. Miss Zhao. Sister Ying. Qin Mengyan's voice made Yang Ming's heart suddenly tighten. Although there was nothing substantial between Zhao Ying and me, there was a tacit understanding of the ambiguity and Cold War between us. At this time, I actually met Zhao Ying. Moreover, it was in the situation where I was with Qin Mengyan, Zhou Jiejie, and Lin Jiyun. Mengyan, are you going to school together? Zhao Ying's voice was quite calm. There was no fluctuation. She just smiled at Chen Mengyan in a friendly manner. Sister Ying. Yang Ming had to turn around helplessly. When he called Zhao Ying, Sister Ying, his eyes fell on Wang Xiaoyan, who was next to Zhao Ying. It seemed that Zhao Ying must have spent the night at Wang Xiaoyan's house. Today, the two of them were planning to go to school together. They didn't expect to meet their neighbor. Wang Xiaoyan smiled and winked at Yang Ming. Then, she looked at Chen Mengyan and waved to her symbolically as a greeting. Previously, on Valentine's Day, Wang Xiaoyan and Chen Mengyan had met before. They even did their hair together. At that time, Chen Mengyan's junior high school classmate was pursuing Wang Xiaoyan. Chen Mengyan also nodded to her politely. Because the two of them weren't familiar with each other, they didn't have a deep friendship. She was just a little surprised. Why would Wang Xiaoyan be with Zhao Ying and appear not far from her house? Because Wang Xiaoyan and Zhao Ying came out first, Chen Mengyan didn't realize that Wang Xiaoyan was her neighbor. Sister Ying, are you going to school too? Yang Ming asked indifferently. Yan and I have classes early in the morning. Zhao Ying nodded. There was a complicated look in her eyes, but it disappeared in a flash. It wasn't easy to detect. Looking at the girls around Yang Ming, there was a ripple in Zhao Ying's heart. She had already decided to have nothing to do with Yang Ming, but when she saw Yang Ming, some unrealistic thoughts appeared. That's just right. Let's go together. Chen Mengyan didn't have any guard against Zhao Ying now. Instead, she felt very embarrassed because of the previous incident. Okay. Zhao Ying wanted to refuse, but when the words came to her mouth, it became okay. When Yang Ming heard this okay, his heart suddenly jumped. He thought, what's so good about it? If it's only Zhao Ying, then it's fine. But there's also Wang Xiaoyan, the assassin. If I anger this chick, then it will be a big problem. Yang Ming really wanted to slap himself. Why is my mouth so cheap? Of all things to ask, why did I have to ask if Zhao Ying is going to school? This is a tragedy. Chapter 1563. Yang Ming, what's wrong with you? Chen Mengyan found that Yang Ming's expression was a bit weird, so she asked with some surprise. No, nothing. Yang Ming laughed twice. It's just that the car can't seat so many people, right? Can it? Chen Mengyan looked at the large X5 in the back and pointed to the back seat. 4 people can sit here. We aren't fat, so it won't be crowded at all. If it really can't, I can drive alone with Sister Zhao Ying. Alone? Yang Ming was suddenly shocked and quickly said, can we sit down? Oh, then sit down. Get in the car. Listening to Yang Ming's incoherent words, Chen Mengyan frowned, but she didn't find any other clues. She opened the back door and let Wang Xiaoyan and Zhao Ying sit in first. She and Lin Jiyun sat next to them. Then she said to Zhou Jie, Jie, you sit in front. Zhou Jie now noticed that Chen Mengyan and Lin Jiyun always let her spend more time with Yang Ming. She didn't know the reason, but after Zhou Jie thought about it, she thought of a more embarrassing reason. That was, Yang Ming hadn't really pushed her down, so Chen Mengyan and Lin Jiyun were like this. So every time Chen Mengyan hinted at her, Zhou Jie would blush a little. Because Zhao Ying was there, Zhou Jie couldn't say anything. She nodded and sat in the front passenger seat. Yang Ming only hoped to get to school quickly so that Zhao Ying, Wang Xiaoyan, and Chen Mengyan could part ways without leaking anything. Wang Xiaoyan naturally knew why Yang Ming was anxious at the moment. She smiled secretly. He usually looked like he had everything under control, but it turned out that there were also times when he was anxious. Sister Ing, last time you said that during the New Year's temple fair, the one who bullied you was him, right? Wang Xiaoyan's heart moved, and she deliberately said something bad. Ah. Zhao Ying was stunned. She didn't expect Wang Xiaoyan to suddenly mention that matter. Zhao Ying and Wang Xiaoyan talked about it. At this time, was Wang Xiaoyan hinting something? Yang Ming was also shocked and suddenly had cold sweat. He was so angry. This Wang Xiaoyan really needs to be taught a lesson. I really should find a chance to beat her. She only knows how to find trouble for me. Isn't this the source of the war? However, before Zhao Ying could reply, Chen Mengyan laughed first. That's right, Wang Xiaoyan. After we went to the temple fair, he accompanied Sister Ing. But because of some accident, he fell on Sister Ing. I just happened to see it. Because of this, I wronged Sister Ing. Sister Ing, are you still angry now? I'm not angry. It's all in the past. Zhao Ying shook her head in fear. Originally, she was a little afraid of Yang Ming's thoughts in her heart. When she thought of the time when Chen Mengyan was angry with her, Zhao Ying had some palpitations. Don't look at Chen Mengyan's usual kindness. When she was really angry, she was really scary. Zhao Ying also knew why Chen Mengyan accepted Lin Jiyun and Zhou Jejia, but not her. That was because she was Yang Ming and her teacher. Chen Mengyan trusted and respected her. If she suddenly became a sister, Chen Mengyan couldn't accept it. The teacher that she had always trusted, the big sister, had become a woman who was trying to steal her man. No matter who it was, they would not be able to accept it. Chen Mengyan could not be blamed. This was a psychological and ideological constraint. This was also the reason why Zhao Ying was worried about her identity and rejected Yang Ming on that summer's moonlit night. Although Zhao Ying and Yang Ming were now university classmates, her own ideology was still there. This was the reason why Zhao Ying didn't dare to take the first step. Right, Sister Ying, why were you at my door? Chen Mengyan thought of the previous matter, so she asked. That place wasn't your door, but Yin Yan's door. Zhao Ying smiled and said, Yin Yan and you are neighbors. Don't you know? Ah. Wang Xiaoyan, you live next door to us. Chen Mengyan looked at Wang Xiaoyan in disbelief. Although she and Wang Xiaoyan weren't very familiar with each other, they had met a few times. Suddenly discovering that she was actually her neighbor made Chen Mengyan somewhat surprised. I usually don't live here. I'm also surprised that you and Yang Ming live next door. Wang Xiaoyan replied faintly, which made Yang Ming's heart feel relieved. It seemed that Wang Xiaoyan just wanted to scare him before and play with his heartbeat. She didn't want to expose anything. Is that so? It's a coincidence. In the future, you can come to my house to play. Chen Mengyan didn't suspect anything. Indeed, she rarely saw people in the villa next door. No problem. However, Sister Ing also lives in this community. You didn't know, right? Wang Xiaoyan blinked and said suddenly. Ah. Sister Ing also has a house in the community. Chen Mengyan was really surprised this time. Two of her acquaintances were actually in her own community, but she never knew. Yang Ming's head suddenly sweated again. He thought, this Wang Xiaoyan is really not done yet. She's playing with some suspense. She's not afraid of exposing anything. Isn't this close to school? Zhao Ying's heart also tightened. She glared at Wang Xiaoyan and then said unnaturally, the house is lent to me by a friend. His family has a lot of houses, oh. Chen Mengyan didn't think too much. After all, Zhao Ying's words were nothing to think about. Borrowing a friend's house was a very normal thing. Sister Ing, come visit more often in the future. Otherwise, Yang Ming is always not at home. It's meaningless for us to be at home. When you come, it's more lively with more people. Lively. Yang Ming smiled bitterly in his heart. When the two of them move in, if you still feel that it's lively, then that's great. Well, we're here. I'm going to class over there. Zhaoying pointed to a teaching building in the school and said. And I'll get off here, too. Wang Xiaoyan said. Finally arrived. Yang Ming parked the car on the side of the teaching building and said with a smile, Sistering, Yen. Wang Xiaoyan, goodbye. Yang Ming almost called Wang Xiaoyan as Yen Yen. From the community to the school, it was just a few minutes' drive, but Yang Ming felt like he was tortured. He was full of cold sweat. Looking at the backs of Zhaoying and Wang Xiaoyan, Yang Ming breathed a sigh of relief. Yang Ming sent Lin Jiyun and Chen Mengyan to the teaching building of their respective departments. Then, he drove Zhou Jiejie to the teaching building of the computer science department. Zhou Jiejie's expression was very quiet. After Chen Mengyan and Lin Jiyun left, she didn't speak again. She seemed to enjoy the warmth of this moment of solitude. Until Yang Ming parked the car in front of the teaching building, Zhou Jiejie got off the car reluctantly. In the past, when I was in junior high school, I saw you and Sister Suya go to school together every day. I dreamed that one day, I could be like her. Yang Ming listened to Zhou Jiejie's soliloquy, and his heart trembled. This girl's request and dream are actually so simple. In the past, I have always ignored her feelings. In fact, Yang Ming could have helped Zhou Jiejie realize her small wish long ago. It was just that he had been with Zhou Jiejie for so long, but he didn't go to school with her even once. Although he was very busy, Yang Ming's heart was also very uncomfortable. Let's go together at night. Yang Ming locked the car and said. No, I have to find Sister Xiaoqing in a while. There are still projects to be done. Zhou Jiejie smiled. I just complained casually. Now I am very satisfied. I can live with you every day. My previous dream can be considered to have been fulfilled. Well, when you are done with your work. Yang Ming nodded and walked into the teaching building with Zhou Jiejie. However, the scene of Zhou Jiejie getting off the luxury car was seen by Li Buoyang. Li Buoyang only felt like he was struck by lightning. He almost fainted as his vision turned black. It wasn't that Li Buoyang hadn't heard of a beautiful female student being kept by a rich man and being picked up by a luxury car every day, but this kind of thing was relatively far from him, so he didn't take it seriously. Now, he saw the girl he admired get out of a BMW with a young man, and the two of them were still flirting with each other. How could this not make Li Buoyang feel uncomfortable? Chapter 1564. It was reasonable to say that Yang Ming was also a celebrity in Songjiang Industry University. Li Buoyang had no reason not to know Yang Ming. However, Li Buoyang was a busy person, and he thought highly of himself. He disdained those outstanding people in the campus art festival. He felt that these people's specialties were really useless, and they couldn't be used as food in the future. Only his own real talent was the way to make a living in the future. Moreover, he never thought that the person who could drive a BMW to school would be a student of the university. In addition, Yang Ming's car usually didn't appear in the computer science department, so Li Buoyang didn't recognize Yang Ming in the car. As for the previous encounter when Li Buoyang lobbied Yang Ming and Zhou Jiejie to join the Computer Science Association, Li Buoyang had already forgotten. He wouldn't remember the appearance of a boy. What's more, Li Buoyang's attention was on Zhou Jiejie before. How could he have the mind to look at Yang Ming? What's wrong? Buoyang. Jiang Naigang looked at Li Buoyang, who was still joking with him, and suddenly trembled. He asked with some concern, "Are you not feeling well?" "Zhou Jie." "I saw a Zhou Jie." Li Buliang's eyes were blood red, and he said in a hurry, "Zhou Jie." Jiang Naigang was stunned, and then he was somewhat inexplicable. "Then you don't have to be so excited. She got off from a man's BMW. It's this car." Li Buliang pointed to the BMW that Yang Ming parked in front of the computer science building not far away. "Are you serious? Are you sure you're not mistaken?" Jiang Naigang looked at the lake blue BMW X5 not far away with suspicion. "This car's license plate is quite good. It shouldn't be an ordinary person. Are you sure that such a person can come to our schools so ostentatiously to keep a female student?" "This." Li Buliang hesitated when Jiang Naigang said that. Indeed, the license plate of this car was too eye-catching. Who would keep a female student without being low-key? Was he afraid that his peers and family would recognize him? Only those who were not married could be so unbridled. But how many unmarried men would come out to keep female students as their mistresses? Li Buliang had some doubts, but then he nodded firmly. "I saw it right. Zhou Jie and the man were flirting with each other. It is definitely impossible to say that there is no relationship between the two people. This matter is really a bit difficult to handle. If Zhou Jie is really a mistress, you really can't do anything." Jiang Naigang frowned. "I know this. My dad has also been a mistress. They have all signed an agreement. Once the woman breaks the agreement, she won't get a single cent unless you give Zhou Jie more benefits. She may leave that person. Otherwise, it will be difficult. Zhou Jie is not that kind of girl. How could she be a mistress? There must be something wrong here." Li Buliang clenched his fist in disbelief and smashed it heavily on Yang Ming's BMW. However, his fist was not a steel plate. Naturally, it would not do anything to the car, but it made his hand bones hurt. "You are right about this sentence. Being a mistress, there is more or less a reason. Either something happened at home, or she is vain. Look at that seaweed in her humble abode. Isn't it because she wants to buy a house for her sister?" Jiang Naigang explained to Li Buliang like an expert. "What should I do?" Li Buliang listened to Jiang Naigang's words and rekindled his hope. "I think you should talk to Zhou Jie openly and honestly first to see if she really has any difficulties. If you know the real reason of the matter, then it will be easy to handle." Jiang Naigang said, "However, if Zhou Jie's family is really short of money, then it depends on the amount. You know, although my dad is the chairman of the company, the pocket money in my hands is not too little, but it is not too much. I can still give you 100,000 or 80,000. If it is too much, I am afraid I will have to discuss it with my dad. I don't know what the result will be." In fact, Jiang Naigang said this, but he had already decided in his heart. Even if it was a few 100,000, it would not be a problem. When the time came, he would write the IOU. After Li Buliang graduated, wouldn't he obediently work in his father's company? In order to repay the debt, he could only use labor compensation. Jiang Naigang's father asked Jiang Naigang to befriend Li Buliang. The purpose was to let Li Buliang go to his company. His company now lacked a computer genius. However, these words couldn't be said by Jiang Naigang now. He could only wait until the situation had really reached this point before he could say it. Otherwise, it would seem that he had ulterior motives. "Thank you, Naigang." Li Buliang saw that Jiang Naigang helped him so much and nodded gratefully. "It's nothing. Who asked us to be buddies?" Jiang Naigang smiled and said, "However, maybe it doesn't need money, or maybe Zhou Jie's weakness fell into the hands of that man." This is true. When Li Buliang heard Jiang Naigang's words, he suddenly felt that it made sense. In this way, it is easy to handle. As you said, since the man can support Zhou Jieji, he must be a successful person in his career. He must have a family. As long as we take a photo of this man and Zhou Jieji together, we can blackmail him in turn. I believe that if he is afraid of being exposed, he will definitely comply. I hope so. Jiang Nagang thought, this possibility is too small. Do you think Zhou Jieji is a fool? However, he maintained his composure and said, now, what we can do is to have some fun. How do we have fun? What do you mean? Li Buoyang was stunned and asked. No matter what the reason is, you are now very angry with that man, right? Jiang Nagang asked with a smile. Of course. Do you still need to ask? Li Buoyang nodded heavily. Then let's first deflate his tires. As Jiang Nagang said this, he bent down and prepared to deflate the tires. You do it like me. It seemed that Jiang Nagang was familiar with doing this kind of bad thing. He had done it many times before. After the two quickly deflated all 4 tires of the car, they quickly disappeared on the spot and continued to plan to talk to Zhou Jieji. Just as Yang Ming returned to Songjiang, another major event happened in Jiangyan City. Lu Xiaolei, the deputy captain of the escort team of the Jiangyan Rime Company, and Lu Zhenan, the vice president of the Jiangyan Group, quarreled. Lu Xiaolei should be grateful to Lu Zhenan. It was Lu Zhenan's arrangement that allowed his seriously ill father to be admitted to a high-end hospital and receive expensive treatment that he couldn't afford. However, Lu Xiaolei and Lu Zhenan turned against each other. This made all the employees of the Jiangyan Group puzzled. Listening to Lu Xiaolei's hoarse roar in the conference room, they were all at a loss. You say, why is Lu Xiaolei so angry? At the door of the conference room, a gossipy employee who passed by asked. Who knows? Maybe he saw that Vice President Lu is kinder, so he wants to ask for more benefits. Employee B guessed. I'm afraid things don't seem to be so simple. Employee A said, shall we watch the show here? That's not very good. It's working hours. Employee B hesitated. What are you afraid of? Look over there. The XX manager of the XX department is also here. We are just going with the flow, said employee A. Well then. Then let's watch for a while. If something is wrong, we will leave immediately. Employee B nodded. Sure enough, since employee A and employee B stayed here, more and more company employees began to watch at the door of the conference room. This employee A was actually one of Lu Zhenan's confidants outside. His task was to persuade the company's employees to come and watch because Lu Zhenan wanted this effect. He wanted everyone in the company to come here as witnesses. When the time came, some words would not be appropriate from his own mouth, but if these people were to say it, it would naturally be much more convincing. Chapter 1565. Lu Zhenan looked at the message on his phone. It was sent by his trusted employee A. He told him that there were enough onlookers at the door of the conference room. They could proceed with the next step of the plan. Lu Zhenan nodded to Lu Xiaolei beside him, indicating that he could start. Vice President Lu, what do you mean? I have already found a suitable kidney source. Why are you going back on your word? Lu Xiaolei was still very normal just now, but suddenly, he roared again, just like a furious tiger. Comrade Lu Xiaolei, don't be so agitated. Lu Zhenan was not angry. He said gently, the situation you are talking about is illegal. We can't agree. Illegal? What illegal? The person who donated the kidney said that he only wants 500,000. As long as he is given 500,000, he will give the kidney to my father. Vice President Lu, since you can spend tens of thousands every day to pay my father's medical fees, why can't you even take out 500,000? Lu Xiaolei said angrily. It's not that we can't take it out. It's a completely different matter. Lu Jinan explained with some difficulty, we are a legitimate company, and the sale of kidney sources is illegal. How can we do this kind of thing? Captain Lu Xiaolei, you should be patient and wait quietly for a legal kidney source. Once it is available, we will arrange for your father's surgery immediately. Wait? Wait for what? If we wait like this, who knows how long we will have to wait. When the time comes, whether my father can survive or not is another matter. Lu Xiaolei said excitedly, since you said that it is illegal and you are not willing to do it, then give me 500,000. I will take full responsibility for this matter. What happens in the future has nothing to do with the company. It is all my personal behavior. How about this? This. Lu Jinan pretended to ponder, thought for a while, and then said, I'm afraid this won't work. Since I already know about this matter, I can't pretend that I don't know anything. If I give you money, it will mean that you are doing illegal things. This won't work. Even if my grandfather knows, he won't support it. Ha, good. Vice President Lu, now you know to use Chairman Old Master Lu to pressure me. Previously, you pretended to be kind and righteous, but now you can't do it again. I think you are forcing me into a dead end. Lu Xiaolei laughed angrily. Lu Xiaolei, don't be agitated. Lu Jinan laughed secretly. Lu Xiaolei is really a genius at acting. Agitated? If the person lying in the hospital was your father, would you be agitated? Lu Xiaolei slammed the table and roared, today, we only have one word. Are you going to give me the 500,000 yuan or not? This. I can't do it. Lu Jinan finally shook his head. Nothing can be accomplished without rules. The company has its own considerations. I hope you can understand. I understand. Lu Xiaolei said okay 3 times at once, and then suddenly rushed out of the door. The people at the door of the conference room were shocked, but before they could react, Lu Xiaolei had already disappeared. Lu Jinan walked out with a gloomy and helpless expression. He looked at Lu Xiaolei's back and sighed with a complicated expression. He raised his head and looked at the people at the door of the conference room. What are you doing here instead of working? Ah, President Lu, we are going to work now. Employee A said first and left with everyone. However, on the way out, Employee A whispered, in my opinion, this Lu Xiaolei really doesn't know how to appreciate favors. Does he think that the company is his? That he can do whatever he wants? Using 500,000 to buy a kidney in the black market, only he can think of it. This matter was said openly. How can Vice President Lu agree? If this matter is known by others, they will definitely attack Vice President Lu and our company. What you said makes sense. After Employee A said this, the others also agreed with him. People tend to be like this. When they are ambiguous and have doubts, as long as someone stands up and says a word, these people will immediately turn around and feel that this person is right. Yeah, I think Lu Xiaolei is blackmailing. Vice President Lu is already kind to his father, but he still wants to do this. This person. Another employee also sighed. Seeing that the public opinion was almost directed, Employee A continued, however, this Lu Xiaolei, from his point of view, is not wrong. After all, is he worried about his father's safety? If it were us, we might be the same as him. Yeah, from a different point of view, the way of looking at the problem will also change. Everyone nodded. It's just that I don't know if this Lu Xiaolei will give up. He still comes to make trouble every few days. That will affect the company's image. Employee A said. He wanted to create the impression that Lu Xiaolei was unwilling to give up, and also to pave the way for future matters. Brother Nan, how was my performance today? Lu Xiaolei was sitting in a car returning to Songjiang at this moment. The people in this car were all his confidants, and also some of the people he had chosen. Not bad, we can carry out the next step of the plan. Lu Jinan said, don't worry, there is no problem with what I promised you. That's good. Lu Xiaolei nodded heavily, Brother Nan, you can rest assured that I will do my job well. After hanging up the phone, Lu Jinan sneered and dialed his sister Lu Huamei's phone again. Big brother. Lu Huamei didn't know what happened in Jiangyan City just now, so she picked up the phone in surprise. She didn't expect Lu Jinan to call her. Huamei, Lu Xiaolei from your side came to the company and made trouble for a while, Lu Jinan said. Oh. Lu Xiaolei. What did he go there for? Didn't the Jiangyan group already arrange for his father's treatment? Lu Huamei asked in surprise. It's like this. Lu Xiaolei came just now, but he told me that he wanted me to go to the black market to buy a kidney for him. I rejected him, so he made a big fuss, Lu Jinan said. You also know that we are a legitimate company. How can we do that kind of thing? So, Lu Xiaolei got a little emotional. That's right. Lu Huamei nodded, Lu Xiaolei's request is a bit too much, but it is reasonable. That's right. That's why I'm giving you a call. When Lu Xiaolei goes back, you should comfort him well and tell him that the head office will help him solve his problems as soon as possible. Tell him not to worry. Lu Jinan said. Don't worry, I will counsel and comfort him, Lu Huamei frowned. Lu Jinan is so kind to call me and tell me this. Well, that's it then. I still have things to do here. No matter what, Lu Xiaolei is your employee. I can't say much. Lu Jinan laughed secretly. This time, I have already told you the matter in advance. If there is another problem, then it has nothing to do with me. It is your problem. Sister, don't blame me for not warning you in advance when the time comes. Okay, then I'll talk to him when he comes back, Lu Huamei responded. Lu Huamei hung up the phone and frowned even more. What does Lu Jinan mean? Is he really worried about Lu Xiaolei, so he called me? However, Lu Huamei couldn't think of any other schemes this Lu Jinan had. She could only assume that Lu Jinan was afraid that Lu Xiaolei would continue to go to the head office and cause trouble for him, so he wanted her to comfort him. Other than that, Lu Huamei couldn't think of anything else. Brother Nan, that little bitch Lu Huamei didn't think too much, right? Lu Jifei waited for Lu Jinan to finish the call and asked. No, no matter how smart she is, she will never think of our plan. Lu Jinan sneered, when the time comes, she will make such a big mistake. Humph, even the old man will be disappointed in her. That's natural. Lu Jifei said this, but he was thinking that he could also mess with Jing Xiaolu and Yang Ming this time. When the time comes, none of them will be able to escape. Lu Jinan was very clear about Lu Jifei's thoughts, but he didn't say anything. After all, he could avenge Lu Jifei without affecting the overall situation. Why not? Chapter 1566. Yang Ming first went to the classroom to show his face, then he was ready to go to the computer control center's teaching building to see Xiaoqing. As a result, when he went out, he found that all 4 tires of his car were deflated. Did I encounter a deflated tire? Yang Ming smiled bitterly and looked around, but he didn't find that his car had hindered anyone. Generally, when a car's tires were deflated, it was because the car's tires were parked randomly and obstructed others, so it would be maliciously retaliated. Yang Ming's car was parked in front of the teaching building, so it wouldn't hinder anyone at all. In this way, it was a bit strange. Could it be that it was specifically directed at him? It was no wonder that Yang Ming would think so. Generally, if it was a prank, at most one tire would be deflated. It was impossible to deflate all 4 tires. This was clearly done on purpose. Yang Ming glanced at the surveillance camera on the teaching building and shook his head. If the average person wanted to delete the school's surveillance video, it was basically impossible. Not to mention that the tires were deflated, and it didn't cause any substantial damage. It was generally difficult for the school to cooperate. But Yang Ming was different, especially in front of the computer science teaching building. Yang Ming was even more confident. He took out his mobile phone and dialed Xiaoqing's number. Not long after, Xiaoqing's friendly voice came from the phone. "Yang Ming, I heard from Jejia that you are back. And I am at school now." Yang Ming knew that since the last incident, Zhou Jejia and Xiaoqing had been very close, so Xiaoqing could know his whereabouts from Zhou Jejia immediately. "Why don't you report to your tutor, Xia Yongqiang, at school? When school started, I gave you a long holiday. If you didn't win the first prize at the school art festival on behalf of the computer science department, I am afraid that someone would have been dissatisfied with you." Xiaoqing rebuked, "You also know that although I am the head of the department, I don't have the final say in this computer science department. Everyone knows that you are my god brother. You haven't come to class for so long. There will definitely be people who are dissatisfied. I got it. I will go over now." Yang Ming didn't expect to be scolded by Xiaoqing as soon as he made the call. However, Yang Ming also knew that Xiaoqing was just complaining to him. If the relationship between the two people wasn't close to a certain extent, Xiaoqing wouldn't say so much to him. "Right, you called me at this time. There should be something wrong, right?" With Xiaoqing's understanding of Yang Ming, if he came to see her, she was afraid that he would come directly to her door. He wouldn't call her in advance. Often, he would only call her after seeing that she wasn't in the office. "My car was parked in front of the computer science building. It was deflated. All 4 tires were flat. I want to see the surveillance video to see who did it." Yang Ming was not polite and directly stated his request. "Released?" Xiaoqing was stunned. "Could it be that you provoked someone again? I came back to school for the first day. Who can I provoke?" Yang Ming was somewhat innocent. "Could it be that someone saw you driving those girls to school and treated you as a love rival and wanted to prank you?" Xiaoqing thought about it and joked. "It shouldn't be." After listening to Xiaoqing's explanation, Yang Ming suddenly felt a little guilty. Needless to say, there was really this possibility. So, I will call Teacher Zheng, who is in charge of the surveillance video. He is also in our department." Xiaoqing said, "You go to the computer room on the 12th floor of the teaching building and find him. I will say hello to him first." "Okay, I will go up now." Yang Ming turned and walked back to the teaching building. "I will look for you after I finish watching the video. And then I will wait for you in the office," Xiaoqing said. Yang Ming took the elevator directly to the computer room on the 12th floor. After a little inquiry, he found Teacher Zheng, who was in charge of the surveillance video. Teacher Zheng was a balding man in his 30s. He had a pair of glasses on the bridge of his nose. At first glance, he had the typical image of a scholar. "You are Yang Ming, right?" Teacher Zheng saw Yang Ming and was very kind. "Director Qingqing has already called me and said that her godbrother is coming to watch the surveillance video. I have already prepared it for you." Director Qingqing. Yang Ming's brows frowned slightly. Why does this person call Xiaoqing like this? However, Yang Ming didn't change his expression. For Teacher Zheng's hospitality, he just nodded and smiled. "Then I will have to trouble Teacher Zheng. No need to mention it. You are Director Qingqing's younger brother, so you are also my younger brother." Teacher Zheng smiled and said, "You don't have to call me Teacher Zheng. Just call me Brother Zheng." For Teacher Zheng to be so obviously close to him, even if Yang Ming was late, he would have noticed something. This Teacher Zheng probably had that kind of thought for Xiao Qing. Thinking of this, Yang Ming was unnaturally disgusted. He said seriously, "This is a school. I will still call you Teacher Zheng." Oh. Teacher Zheng was stunned. He felt a little strange that Yang Ming refused without hesitation, but he didn't take it to heart. "You are right. This is a school. It is better to be formal. You are right to call me Teacher Zheng." Although Yang Ming didn't hate this Teacher Zheng, he still had some disgust, especially the words that he pretended to be close to him. Yang Ming shook his head. He was afraid that this was just a one-sided lover. Although Xiao Qing was 30 years old, she looked no different from a 20-year-old girl. Together with Chen Mengyan, they could only be regarded as sisters. And this Teacher Zheng had the appearance of a veritable uncle. The news of Xiao Qing's infertility was not a secret in Songjiang Industry University. When it was publicized by Song Heng, Xiao Qing did not come out to refute the rumors, so the truth of this matter was naturally clear at a glance. Teacher Zheng in front of him obviously knew this, but for a young man like him, it was still uncertain whether he could find a girlfriend. For this kind of person who didn't have the slightest threat, Yang Ming didn't pay attention to it. He just watched him skillfully pull up the surveillance video. Soon, Yang Ming saw the two people who deflated his tires. One of the men was familiar, but Yang Ming didn't have any impression of the other one. However, the familiar one, maybe because he didn't have much contact with him, Yang Ming couldn't name him. Li Buliang. How can he do this kind of thing? Teacher Zheng looked at the person on the screen and suddenly exclaimed, "How is this possible?" Li Buliang. Yang Ming frowned. He was still a little familiar with this name, but he didn't know what this person did. Li Buliang is the president of the Computer Association of our Computer Science Department. Teacher Zheng probably wanted to please Yang Ming, so he naturally said whatever he wanted. He didn't hide it. Maybe he hoped that Yang Ming would put in a good word for him in front of Xiao Qing. It turned out to be him. After Teacher Zheng's reminder, Yang Ming remembered Li Buliang. Previously, Yang Ming and Zhou Jiejia met this person in school. He lobbied them to join the Computer Association and boasted that he knew the #1 hacker, I Love Little Ming. Of course, after Yang Ming knew that I Love Little Ming was Zhou Jiejia, he didn't have a good impression of this Li Buliang. If it was him, it would be a bit strange. Is it because of Zhou Jiejia? However, there was no interaction after lobbying there. I didn't even hear Zhou Jiejia say that someone was pursuing her. It's strange. Why did he want to deflate your tires? Teacher Zheng was also very puzzled about Li Buliang's motive. The surveillance video wasn't very clear. It was shot from top to bottom. Yang Ming couldn't see the mouth shape of their conversation, so he planned to copy it back and enlarge it to analyze it carefully. Teacher Zheng, I will copy this surveillance video back. Is there any problem? No problem. What's the problem? Teacher Zheng agreed. He was now afraid that Yang Ming would have any dissatisfaction. When he returned to Xiao Qing's side, he would have no hope of pursuing her. Did you bring a USB flash drive? If you didn't bring it, I can burn it into a CD for you. Yang Ming took out a USB flash drive from his pocket and handed it to Teacher Zheng. Yang Ming usually carried a USB flash drive with him in case of emergency. Teacher Zheng was very enthusiastic to help Yang Ming finish copying, and he sent Yang Ming to the door of the computer room with a smile. Yang Ming, come and play when you are free. Yang Ming nodded and quickly left the computer room. He couldn't stand Teacher Zheng's enthusiasm, which made Yang Ming have a very strange feeling. His woman was coveted by others, but he couldn't say it. Chapter 1567. In the elevator, Yang Ming called Little Wang. Originally, Yang Ming didn't intend to look for him so early in the morning, but now it seemed that he had to let him pick him up and bring an air pump. Speaking of which, Little Wang returned home last night. When he entered the door, he saw his girlfriend, Little Ran, with a black face. However, Little Wang didn't care. He waved his hand and said to Little Ran, "Hurry up and prepare some good dishes for me. I haven't eaten yet. It's a good time to celebrate." Celebrate? Celebrate what? What kind of tone are you talking to me with? Little Ran was already angry with Little Wang for not coming home on time. When she heard Little Wang talk to her in such a commanding tone, she suddenly became angry. She immediately said, "You come home so late, and you still have a reason. What are you arguing about? Didn't I tell you that I have something important to do?" Little Wang frowned. He was happy to share the fact that he was Yang Ming's driver with his girlfriend, but he didn't expect to be scolded. He was a little depressed. "Something important? What is it?" Little Ran raised her eyebrows and said with some disappointment, "Do you know how much pressure I have to bear every day for you? My dad just called and wanted to arrange a blind date for me. He said that the other party was a white-collar worker in a company with a monthly salary of more than 10,000. He also asked what you were doing. I couldn't say that you were fooling around. I could only say that you were working overtime in the hotel. I really didn't fool around. I really did something important." Little Wang smiled bitterly. When he heard Little Ran talk about her pressure, Little Wang's heart softened again. He didn't want to continue arguing with her. Okay, I didn't say it clearly before. Now you listen to me, okay? And then you say it." Little Ran really couldn't do anything. Although Little Wang, the security captain, was better than the ordinary security guards, he still couldn't reach the standards of her parents. In their opinion, even if their son-in-law wasn't a small leader, even if he was a small employee, he should be a senior employee with a monthly salary of more than 10,000. Little Wang was obviously far from that. "I changed my job." Little Wang said, "Little Ran, from tomorrow onwards, I will be a driver for others." "What? You're going to be a driver?" When Xiao Ran heard this, her lungs were about to explode. She stood up and glared at Xiao Wang. "What did you say? You're actually driving for someone else? Why are you regressing? Although you're the security captain now, you at least have some subordinates under you. Why are you running off to be someone else's driver?" "Xiao Ran, calm down and listen to me first. This time, I'm Brother Yang's chauffeur." Lil Wang quickly explained. "What do you mean by Brother Yang, Brother Liu?" In the past, the computer at home was occupied by Xiao Ran. When Xiao Wang moved, Xiao Ran was afraid that it would delay her from stealing food. This time, she took the initiative to ask for all the web pages on the computer to be turned off. Xiao Wang looked at the back of Xiao Ran walking to the kitchen and sighed at the wonders of life. Early the next morning, Xiao Wang went to Ming Yang Entertainment smoothly without any suspense. Bao Sanli was very warm to him, and the car assigned to him was actually an Audi A8. This made Xiao Wang feel a little flattered. However, when he thought about it carefully, this car was not for him, but for Yang Ming, so he was relieved. For Xiao Wang, Bao Sanli was also very clear. Yang Ming didn't want to trouble him and Ho Xinhan to do some trivial things, so he found a full-time driver. This Xiao Wang had also mingled in the underworld before. He could be regarded as his veteran. Bao Sanli was still very assured of his character. On Yang Ming's side, he only used Xiao Wang to drive for some normal things. As for special things, he would still look for Bao Sanli and Ho Xinhan. Xiao Wang just got the car key and looked at the new Audi A8 downstairs. He was a little itchy. He wanted to go up and drive around, but there was nothing, so he couldn't go up and try it. At this moment, the phone rang. Xiao Wang took out the phone and looked at the caller ID. His face quickly showed a respectful expression. Brother Yang. The phone call was from Yang Ming. Yang Ming's phone number was already saved in Xiao Wang's phone. Xiao Wang, have you reported? Asked Yang Ming. I have already seen President Bao. I am in the parking lot of Ming Yang Entertainment. I just got the car key and packed the car, said Xiao Wang. You come to Songjiang Industry University and bring an air pump by the way. Yang Ming instructed Xiao Wang. Okay, Brother Yang, I will go over now. Xiao Wang responded with joy. He was afraid that Yang Ming wouldn't use him. He didn't expect that Yang Ming would use him the next day. This made Xiao Wang very happy. As a matter of fact, the people in the group were looking at him. The more frequently Yang Ming called him, it proved that he was valued by Yang Ming. This made the attitude of the people in the group become respectful to him. After you come over, wait for my call at the door. Yang Ming said. Don't worry, Brother Yang. Xiao Wang hung up the phone excitedly and quickly ran in the direction of the garage. As he ran, he shouted to the group's team captain, Xiao Liao, prepare an air pump for me. Hurry up. The team was also under the management of the logistics department. This Xiao Liao was naturally under Xiao Wang. However, Xiao Liao was a little unhappy that Xiao Wang was not older than him, so he became his leader. Chapter 1568. Oh. What do you need an air pump for? Do you want to pump up the car? Xiao Liao thought that little Wang was looking for an air pump for a private matter, so he began to complain, the company's cars are pumped up every day. Why do you have so many questions? Little Wang frowned as if he could see little Liao's dissatisfaction. However, he also understood that he was a parachuted soldier who was promoted from the security captain to the logistics department's deputy manager. These people might think that he relied on his connections to get the position. The matter of him driving for Yang Ming had not been spread out yet. Only Bao Sanli knew about it at present. Brother Yang asked me to drive. You should get ready quickly. Brother Yang. Which Brother Yang? Xiao Liao was stunned. He thought about it. There seemed to be no Brother Yang in the logistics department. I'm driving for Chairman Yang. Don't you know about this? Little Wang frowned. Hurry up. It will be troublesome if you mess up the important matters. Chairman Yang. When Xiao Liao heard the name, he suddenly realized who the Brother Yang in little Wang's mouth was. Yang Ming also participated in a meeting of Ming Yang Entertainment when Jing Xiaolu was in office, so the employees in the company now knew that there was a chairman named Yang Ming above Bao Sanli and Hou Jinhan. The reason why Xiao Liao dared to talk to little Wang as the captain of the team and was under little Wang's jurisdiction was because he drove the car when Bao Sanli and Hou Jinhan went out. Although Bao Sanli and Hou Jinhan could drive, it was inconvenient for them to drive. After all, their identities were there, so they temporarily used Xiao Liao as the driver. Xiao Liao felt that he was extremely badass. As the driver of the boss, he was naturally superior to others. It was normal to not put little Wang in his eyes. Although he had heard that the reason why little Wang was arranged to be the deputy manager of the logistics department was that he was chosen by a company leader to drive, Xiao Liao did not put it in his eyes. After all, no matter how powerful the leader was, he could not be more powerful than Bao Sanli and Hou Jinhan, right? He subconsciously thought that the reason why Xiao Wang was given a higher position than him was because the leader was a relative of his family. Thinking of this, he despised Xiao Wang even more, which was why he made things difficult for him. However, when he heard that little Wang was actually driving for Yang Ming, little Liao suddenly broke into a cold sweat. He finally realized that in this company, Bao Sanli and Hou Zhenhan were not the most powerful. There was a chairman above him. Although the chairman didn't appear in the company often, his authority was there. He thought about how he was promoted to the captain of the team because he had driven for Bao Sanli and Hou Zhenhan. Little Wang was the driver for Yang Ming. It was understandable that he was promoted to the deputy manager of the logistics department. Who asked him to serve someone who was better than him? Xiao Liao's face immediately changed when he thought that he almost ruined the plan. He put on a flattering expression that was only used in front of Bao Sanli and Hou Zhenhan. Brother Wang, you should have said so earlier. I will get you the air pump now. The way he addressed little Wang had also become Brother Wang. This instantaneous change in the eyes of little Wang made him deeply feel the hypocrisy of the world here. He had unknowingly taken advantage of the authority of others. Soon, Xiao Liao brought a pressurized air pump. Little Wang wanted to reach out to take it, but Xiao Liao shook his head and refused. He personally ran to the side of little Wang's car, opened the trunk, and put it in properly. Brother Wang, I have prepared everything for you. You should hurry up and do something for the chairman. Don't delay it. You and I can't afford to be responsible. After Xiao Liao finished all this, he said respectfully with a smile. It was as if the person who was sarcastic before was not him. Xiao Liao, good job. I thought that the air pump had to be pressurized. I didn't expect it to be pressurized. Little Wang nodded with satisfaction. Hee hee. Xiao Liao was praised, and he smiled happily. Xiao Liao could see that even though little Wang was the deputy manager of the logistics department, he was definitely better than the manager. In the future, even if the manager had any decision, he had to discuss it with him. There was no other reason. If he wanted to continue working in the company, how could he simply offend the people around the chairman? Xiao Liao thought that it was a close call. Fortunately, I acted quickly according to the situation. Otherwise, I am afraid that I would be finished today. Little Wang got in the car and started the car in the direction of Songjiang Industry University. Yang Ming came to Xiao Qing's office with ease. He didn't knock on the door. He used his special ability to see that there was no one else inside except Xiao Qing, then he pushed the door and entered directly. Xiao Qing heard the sound of the door opening and looked up in amazement. When she saw that it was Yang Ming, she was relieved. Her face was a little red. Why didn't you knock on the door and come in directly? You scared me. I was wondering who was so rude. Hee hee, I saw that there was no one else in the room, so I came in directly. Yang Ming said and closed the office door. Seeing Yang Ming's action, Xiao Qing's face was more flushed. Why did you close the door? It's cold. Didn't you close the door before? Yang Ming locked the door and said naturally. Then why did you still lock the door? Xiao Qing looked at Yang Ming's serious look and couldn't help but be amused by him. She couldn't help but laugh. Ah. You even found out about this. Yang Ming felt that he was very secretive. His face was not red and his heart was not beating fast. There was no clue, but he didn't want to be discovered by Xiao Qing. He scratched his head. Isn't this because I am afraid that someone will come in? If I find out anything that shouldn't be found out. Let me tell you. Don't mess around. Last time, Jia saw it. You were just careless. Xiao Qing said, fortunately, it was Jia. If it was someone else, what should we do if it was spread out? What's the big deal? At most, I will just drop out of school. Yang Ming shrugged and said indifferently, let's see what other people can say. What drop out of school? Don't talk nonsense. Xiao Qing frowned, but her heart was moved by Yang Ming's words. If you don't want to say it, then don't say it. Just be careful in the future. Yang Ming said. In fact, Yang Ming now had no desire and expectation for university. People who went to university would find that university was just that. Therefore, even if Yang Ming dropped out of school now, it was nothing. With Yang Ming's current identity and achievements, university had become unimportant. Even Yang Dehai's concept was not like before. He also felt that Yang Ming's university was just a life experience. He no longer asked about things like Yang Ming's grades. Even when Yang Ming didn't appear in school for a few months, he no longer interfered. I heard from Jia that Meng Yan was kidnapped, and you saved her. Is everything okay? Xiao Qing had seen Yang Ming's skill. When they were in Hong Kong, Yang Ming shocked the boss in the bar with a few moves and helped her escape successfully. It's okay. It has been solved. Yang Ming nodded. Now Meng Yan has gone to class. Not many people know about this matter. Then when you saved her, didn't Chen Mingyan's parents suspect anything? You know, Chen Fei is the police chief. Xiao Qing looked at Yang Ming and asked, your ability wasn't discovered by anyone, right? They know more or less. Yang Ming shrugged helplessly, and then took out 2 documents from his pocket and handed them to Xiao Qing. They came to me and I joined this organization. Supernatural Investigation Bureau. Military Region. Xiao Qing glanced at the documents that Yang Ming handed over, and then she showed a dignified expression. They know about your matter. They also have a similar master. I can't hide it. Yang Ming smiled bitterly. But this matter is also two-sided. Although I have exposed my ability and have to do something for them, this is also a protective talisman for me. With these 2 certificates, other organizations and individuals will not be able to trouble me. They will solve it for me. Yang Ming smiled bitterly. That's right. Xiao Qing listened to Yang Ming's analysis and nodded. She said sincerely, Yang Ming, you have grown up. Ah. Yang Ming was slightly stunned. In terms of looking at things, you are much more mature than before. I don't have to worry about you anymore. Xiao Qing smiled and said, you just need to know your limits. People will grow up. Yang Ming looked up and looked at Xiao Qing's bright eyes. In the past, you were my sister Xiao Qing. Now, let me protect you. Xiao Qing looked at the expression in Yang Ming's eyes, and her nose was slightly sour. She had to admit that Yang Ming had really grown up during this time. He had transformed from a boy into an indomitable man. Okay, then I will become a child in front of you in the future. Xiao Qing suddenly had a very relaxed feeling. She felt that there was no gap between her age and Yang Ming's. It seems that it has been like this since a long time ago. Yang Ming touched his nose and smiled bitterly. Since the incident with Song Heng, I have felt so, and... Xiao Qing blinked and recalled the incident where Song Heng found trouble with her. It seemed to be true. Unknowingly, Yang Ming had become the shore of her fragile soul. Chapter 1569. The meeting with Xiao Qing was always rushed. Although it felt like an affair every time, it was really rushed and nervous. However, this couldn't be helped. Before Xiao Qing didn't intend to resign or Yang Ming didn't drop out of school, this matter couldn't be made public. Yang Ming didn't care, but he was afraid that Xiao Qing wouldn't be able to stand the strange gazes of others. After all, a relationship between a younger man and a sibling was still unacceptable. After leaving the computer science faculty building, Yang Ming thought about it and called Sun Jia again. The phone rang a few times, but it was cut off. Yang Ming was stunned. As he was about to call again, a text message came in. I'm in class. What are you doing? What's the matter? Yang Ming looked at the text message and smiled bitterly. He replied, nothing. Then you go to class. I'm back in Songjiang. You can contact me after class. Sun Jie didn't have many classes, but he happened to catch up. After a while, Sun Jie replied, N. Yang Ming dialed Little Wang's phone. Little Wang, where are you? Brother Yang, I have arrived. I'm at the main entrance of Songjiang Industry University. Little Wang had arrived early and had been waiting for Yang Ming's call. And then you wait for me in front of the computer science faculty building. My car is parked there. That BMW X5, you can see it when you get there. Yang Ming instructed. Okay, Brother Yang, I'm coming. Little Wang responded. Yang Ming hung up the phone and walked from the faculty building to the teaching building. Before he walked to the teaching building, he saw an Audi A8 parked side by side next to his car. Little Wang was dragging an air pump around the BMW and carefully inflating the tires. Yang Ming smiled. This Little Wang's eyesight and observation were good. After arriving here, he saw that the tires of his car had no air. He knew the purpose of the air pump. Brother Yang. Little Wang inflated the tires while paying attention to whether Yang Ming came over. When he saw Yang Ming, Little Wang quickly shouted. How is it? Is it done inflating? Asked Yang Ming. It's the last one. Little Wang said as he pulled out the air pump, then he measured the tire pressure with the tire pressure gauge. He nodded with satisfaction. It's done, Brother Yang. And this early in the morning. I don't know who deflated the tires. Yang Ming was very satisfied with Little Wang's attitude. Even when he saw that his tires were deflated, he did not show any doubts. This way of handling things was a qualified driver. He did not ask anything that he should not ask. I'm always on standby in the company to help Brother Yang. Little Wang smiled and said, What's the trouble? I'm afraid that I have nothing to do. And then you go back first. I will look for you again if I have something. Yang Ming nodded to Little Wang, indicating that he could go back. Okay, Brother Yang. Although Little Wang was disappointed that Yang Ming didn't have anything else for him to do, he didn't show it. If there is anything, just call me at any time. I'm on standby 24 hours. 24 hours. Yang Ming smiled. This Little Wang seems to be a promising person. At the very least, his enthusiasm is not bad. Even if Yang Ming didn't need him in the future, he would send him to his father or uncle to do things. Yang Ming was ready to move the car. Since it was Li Buliang, the little bastard, who deflated the tires, he would park the car in front of the teaching building. When he saw it when he came out, he might deflate the tires for the car. Yang Ming couldn't keep an eye on the car, so it was better to move to a safe place. In fact, in the school, the safest place was the parking lot at the entrance. There were guards on duty. Most people wouldn't make trouble under their eyes. However, there were generally cars without a school pass parked there. People like Yang Ming who had a pass could drive the car into the campus at will, so no one deliberately parked in the parking lot at the entrance of the school. Yang Ming got in the car, started the car, and drove in the direction of the school gate. A crisp ringtone sounded. Yang Ming took out the mobile phone. He thought it was Sun Jia calling him after class. He glanced at the caller ID, but it was an unfamiliar number. Hello. Yang Ming picked up the phone. Yang Ming, asked the person on the other side of the phone. It's me. Who is this? Yang Ming frowned. The voice on the other side of the phone was a little unfamiliar, but he seemed to have heard it somewhere before. I am Chen Jie. I want to talk to you. The person on the other side of the phone didn't hide it. Chen Jie. Yang Ming suddenly realized. No wonder the voice was a little familiar. It turned out to be Chen Xiaolong's father, Chen Jie. At the banquet yesterday, although he didn't say much and only said a few words, Yang Ming still had some impressions of him. What's the matter? Just say it. Yang Ming didn't have any good impression of Chen Jie, so he said faintly. I want to meet you. Don't worry. After you come, there will definitely be unexpected benefits, said Chen Jie. Oh. Unexpected benefits. Yang Ming sneered. He didn't want to agree, but after thinking about it, Chen Jie's matter had to be solved eventually. It was better to take this opportunity to teach Chen Jie a lesson and avoid some unnecessary conflicts. Yang Ming was not afraid of conflicts. He even thought that only by giving Chen Jie a bloody lesson could he remember. However, because of Chen Fei's face, Yang Ming still tried to suppress himself as much as possible so that Chen Fei wouldn't be in a difficult position. Yes. Chen Jie smiled. How is it? Are you interested? Where are you now? I'll send a car to pick you up. No need. Just tell me the place. I'll go there myself. Yang Ming was still very indifferent. He wasn't tempted by the so-called benefits at all. Well, in half an hour at the Songjiang International Hotel, Presidential Suite 1222. Chen Jie received it. Okay. Yang Ming replied faintly. Yang Ming was clear about the fate of the two bodyguards yesterday. He guessed that after Chen Jie knew about it, he would feel that he was at a disadvantage. Since he couldn't use force, he would use force and ask him to meet and talk directly. Come to think of it, that so-called enormous benefit was just giving him some benefits. Yang Ming curled his lips. He didn't stop the car and drove directly in the direction of the Songjiang International Hotel. During the day, there weren't many cars parked at the entrance of the hotel. Yang Ming casually found a parking space and parked. The newly appointed security captain, Xiao Zhang, was the former vice captain. Xiao Wang was promoted today. Xiao Zhang was envious and excited that he could be promoted to security captain. Brother Yang. Xiao Zhang knew the process of Xiao Wang's promotion. When he suddenly saw Yang Ming's car coming to the parking lot again, he quickly ran over. You are? Yang Ming looked at Xiao Zhang, who was wearing the captain's uniform, and asked. I'm the new security captain, Xiao Zhang, Brother Yang. Xiao Zhang quickly replied, this is my contact information. Brother Yang, just call me if you need anything. Little Zhang said as he respectfully handed over his name card. N. Yang Ming took it and glanced at it. He nodded, indicating that he understood. The name on the business card was still the vice captain of the hotel security team. It seemed that he hadn't had time to change it. Xiao Zhang didn't say anything more, but moved aside. He didn't expect to impress Yang Ming this time. He had just been promoted to security captain, so he wouldn't have higher achievements in the near future. Chapter 1570. Yang Ming locked the car and walked to the hotel. When he passed by the hotel lobby, he nodded to Manager Liu and didn't say anything. Instead, he went straight to the elevator and pressed the button for the 12th floor. Presidential Suite. Yang Ming sneered in his heart. Just tell me the room number. He even added the words Presidential Suite. Is he trying to show off his financial resources? This hotel belongs to Yang Ming. Obviously, Chen Jie was showing off to the wrong person. The elevator stopped on the 12th floor. Yang Ming walked in the direction of room 1222 and stopped at the door of the room. Yang Ming didn't knock on the door immediately. Instead, he used his special ability to look into the room. Although Yang Ming didn't think that Chen Jie was a threat to him at all, Yang Ming had become more careful since the incident with Wang Jitao. Anyway, there was nothing wrong with being careful. Yang Ming didn't want to do something that would cause him to suffer losses because of his conceit. In the room, there was no one else except Qin Jie and the 2 bodyguards from yesterday. Yang Ming was also relieved. If they invited 7th grandfather Qin to be noisy, Yang Ming really couldn't say some things because of Qin Fei. This 7th grandfather Qin was 70 or 80 years old. If he died here because of one sentence, then Yang Ming would be looking for trouble. Dang dang dang. Yang Ming knocked on the door of the room. Qin Jie heard the knock on the door. He looked at his watch and waved to the 2 bodyguards, motioning them to open the door. Who is it? Bodyguard A walked over and gave Bodyguard B a look as he walked. The 2 of them walked to the outside of the presidential suite and asked in front of the door. Yang Ming replied faintly. With a caw sound, the door was opened. Bodyguards A and B looked at Yang Ming coldly. These 2 people had suffered a loss from Yang Ming in the bathroom yesterday, so there was a hint of hostility in their eyes. These 2 people were hit by Yang Ming's door panel yesterday. They also peed all over their bodies. How could they not have resentment in their hearts? Although Yang Ming wasn't to be blamed for the car's brake system malfunctioning and her crashing into the garbage dump, it was also because of Yang Ming. So, at this moment, all the annoyance was put on Yang Ming. Previously, they were instructed by Qin Jie to show Yang Ming their power. So at this moment, both of them were eager to teach Yang Ming a lesson. While the 2 of them were looking at Yang Ming coldly, Yang Ming didn't even look at them, as if they didn't exist. He lifted his leg and walked into the room. The 2 of them were despised by Yang Ming, which made bodyguards A and B very angry. Most people, when they entered the house and saw 2 macho men standing at the door, it would cause a certain amount of pressure, both psychologically and visually. However, Yang Ming didn't take them seriously at all. How could they endure this? They were bodyguards. The kind of bodyguards who were awesome around rich people. If they were in a movie, they would be cool existences. How could they be despised today? Stop right there. Bodyguard A was despised by Yang Ming. How could he let it go? If Yang Ming was allowed to walk into the room directly, how could it serve as a deterrent? So, Bodyguard A directly stretched out his hand and stopped Yang Ming. Bodyguard B also followed suit. He immediately stretched out his hand and blocked Yang Ming at the door of the room with Bodyguard. Why? Am I not welcome? Yang Ming glanced at the 2 bodyguards with a smile, and then said leisurely, if that's the case, then I'll leave. It just so happens that I don't want to come here. If it weren't for your boss persuading me to come here, do you think I would be willing to come? After speaking, Yang Ming turned around and was about to leave. Yang Ming's sudden action stunned the 2 bodyguards. They thought that Yang Ming would be furious, and then he would naturally clash with them. This way, they could also teach Yang Ming a lesson. But what they didn't expect was that Yang Ming didn't want to reason with them at all. He didn't want to force his way in. Instead, he turned around and left. What kind of game was this? The 2 bodyguards were dumbfounded for a while. However, no matter what Yang Ming was up to, the 2 bodyguards couldn't just watch Yang Ming leave. If Yang Ming left, who would the boss talk to? Especially when the 2 of them got rid of Yang Ming, would they still have a good time when they went back? Thinking of this, Bodyguard quickly reached out and closed the door of the room with a bang. Since you're here, don't be in a hurry to leave. In fact, if Yang Ming wanted to leave, how could these 2 bodyguards stop Yang Ming? With his slow speed of closing the door, Yang Ming would have already disappeared. However, Yang Ming didn't really want to leave. He was just teasing the 2 of them. Oh. Weren't you the ones who stopped me and told me to stop? Yang Ming looked at the 2 of them with a playful expression. Is there something wrong with my ears? Or is your mouth crooked, or the nerves in your arms can't be controlled? You better be honest. Do you want to die? Bodyguards A and B were ridiculed by Yang Ming, and they immediately lost their faces. They snorted and scolded, "Little brat, why don't you open your eyes and see whose territory this is? You dare to behave atrociously in front of me. Whose territory?" The playful expression in Yang Ming's eyes became more intense. Whose territory is this Songjiang International Hotel? Could it be that these two people thought that just because they rented a room, this place was their territory? Of course, it's mine. Bodyguard B snorted. Put away your little punk act. Young Master Xiaolong is right. You're just a little punk. But let me tell you, you met the ancestor of punks today. When I was fighting on the streets, you were still playing with mud. Oh, is there anything else? Yang Ming nodded and replied normally. You. Bodyguards A and B didn't expect Yang Ming to be so stubborn. No matter what they said to him, he looked calm and indifferent, as if it had nothing to do with him. Kid, raise your hands. We want to search you. Bodyguard A's original intention was to simply find a reason to stir up trouble between Yang Ming and himself. Then, he could clean up the mess along the way. That way, it would be perfectly justifiable. After all, Chen Jie was sitting in the room. If they casually beat up Yang Ming, it wouldn't be justifiable. They also had some scruples about the relationship and face between Chen Jie and Chen Fei. If there was no reason, it wouldn't be justifiable. However, if they casually provoked an incident, it could be considered that there was a reason. In this way, even if he and Bodyguard B taught Yang Ming a lesson, it would be a personal action. It had nothing to do with Chen Jie. In his opinion, Yang Ming's performance at the banquet yesterday was very impulsive and arrogant. Therefore, he was confident that he could use this trick to anger Yang Ming, and then teach Yang Ming a lesson. However, judging from Yang Ming's performance today, this kid was terrifyingly calm. He wouldn't listen to anything. If you said too much to him, he would just turn around and leave without caring about you. This attitude made bodyguards A and B speechless. It couldn't be helped. Bodyguard A could only be quick-witted and use the excuse of a body search. In his opinion, Yang Ming was definitely unwilling, so he could take advantage of the situation to carry out the next step of his plan. In fact, as he wished, Yang Ming would not let bodyguards A and B search him. They were not security guards. How could Yang Ming let them search him? However, things in the world often went against one's wishes. Yang Ming did not agree to let them search him, but they could not teach Yang Ming a lesson. Body search. Yang Ming looked at bodyguards A and B sarcastically. Body search. Did you want to search me, or did your master, Chen Jie, ask you to do so? This. Bodyguard A was a little dumbfounded after listening to Yang Ming's words. It was difficult to answer. If he said that they wanted to search him, Yang Ming could say, "Your master, Chen Jie, didn't ask you to do so. Why did you search him on your own accord?" If he replied that Chen Jie instructed them to do so, then Yang Ming could say, "Since you don't believe me and still do so many things, why are you still talking to me?" If he turned around and left again, the two bodyguards would not be able to handle it. For a moment, Bodyguard A was in a dilemma. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.